Call meeting to order. Shelley, can you do a roll call, please?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. District 1, Councilman Rios.
Present.
District 2, Councilman Pastor.
Present.
District 3, Councilman Leatham.
Present.
District 4, Vice Mayor Stapleton.
Here.
District 5, Councilwoman Giles.
Present.
Councilman Shipley, District 6.
Here.
Mayor Gameros.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Shelley. Before I start with the invocation, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence for the 3 children that were lost in the tragedy this past week. Thank you. Please join me in prayer. Lord, we ask that you bless this meeting today. Bless our city council, our employees, and all the residents of our wonderful community. We pray for those who have been devastated by the recent tragedy. We remember the 3 children who have lost their lives. We hold in our hearts the families forever changed by this grief and loss. Bring them consolation and comfort. Surround them with our prayers and strength. Bless those who have survived and heal their memories of trauma and devastation. May they have the courage to face the days ahead. We ask this in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Charlene, can you join me in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll start with current events, and Fernando, we'll start with you.
I really have nothing to report. Thank you.
Thank you, Fernando. Freddie?
Thank you, Mayor. I really don't have anything to report, but I really want to extend my heartfelt, sincere thoughts and prayers to the family of those lost children. It wasn't long ago when we experienced one of our own here in the Miami Globe area losing that person under the similar conditions. And I ask everybody, and you know, this is a serious matter. We live in an area where flash floods are always going to happen in heavy rains, and we just have to be vigilant. We really must learn to understand what our waterways do when they go from extremely dry to pretty much a raging rush of water. Water is a heavy, dense piece of matter that we don't understand. And I say this because I live in that world. I work in that world. 1 gallon of water weighs 8.34 pounds. 1 gallon of water weighs 8.34 pounds. If you have thousands of gallons coming at you, you can't. It moves cars. It moves vehicles. Please be vigilant around the waterways in heavy rains, because it's a losing proposition for any human being. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Freddie. Shirley?
That was well said. On a little bit lighter note, our Festival of Lights at Besh is this Saturday from 5 to 9. We have almost 6,000 luminaries, and the shuttle vans are going to leave from the high school this year instead of the depot. I think we're going to get great weather and a lot of people, and that'll be a great event. It showcases our beautiful historic park over there at Besh. Also this Saturday is the Copper City Players. They're having their annual Christmas play at the Center for the Arts, and they're having a matinee at 2, and then the evening show is at 7. So you can get tickets at the center, or you can contact anybody on the downtown board. I also had the privilege of being one of the judges for the essay contest over at the senior center, so this was very interesting. We have some really amazing residents that have had some really amazing lives. Let me put it that way. It was hard to go through all those and try to differentiate and pick some winners, but I'm glad they did that, and it was really a good thing for the seniors to do. They got a lot out of that. the Christmas open house is at the Historical Museum this Friday, December 6th. So down at our Gila County Historic Museum, they do an open house every year, and they put on an amazing spread because those ladies know how to cook. But it's a great place to go through and see the history of our area as well. And then lastly, I had the pleasure, Mayor, myself, and our city manager, Paul, met with Leah Peterson. She's currently on the Arizona Corporation Commission. They regulate the big utilities, water, gas, the electric company, the railroads. Very, very interesting lady, and I think that was a great connection for us to make here locally. She is running for re-election in 2020, and the thing I really liked about her is she gets small business in small areas. She comes from a very rural background, a rural area outside of Tucson, so I think a good advocate for all of us that are in the small town situation. That's it.
Thank you, Shirley. Mike?
Mr. Mayor, I don't have anything to share today, other than my sorrow and the feelings that I have for those folks out in Tonto Basin. That was my district when I was a supervisor for 8 years, and I had to deal with 2 flooding incidents, and then lucky for us, nobody drowned, but it was something that we were always worried about, and my heart goes out to the family and the folks out there. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mike. Jesse?
I don't have anything, Mayor. I just as well wanted to express my thoughts and prayers to those folks in Tonto Basin.
Mike?
First of all, I'd like to thank everybody that participated in Thanksgiving. We had several churches that participated in the free meal. I don't have anything from all the churches. I know your church as well did a Thanksgiving meal. I think there was like 3 or 4 that did them. And then all the restaurants that participated as well. So thank you for everybody that did help with everything. I know I had like 15 volunteers. So it was a really good year, so thank you. I appreciate it. And then I want to thank, I know John and his team for the lights downtown. I was going to call you. I'm sure there's more people than just you, John, but I was going to call you to try to arrange that with APS, and it's done. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. And then again, like everybody else, please keep the Rawlings family in your prayers. I can't imagine what those people are going through. It's just devastating. And I see the news updates every half hour, every hour, and it's unbelievable. So please keep everybody in your prayers. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Mike. Just a little bit, they had the marketplace in Santa Claus at the train depot this weekend, and some of the numbers I got was 600 kids participated, and about 2,000 people came to the event. So a combination of the marketplace with Santa Claus was a big hit. I know the fire truck was a big hit. It was a lot of talk about that. Thank you, Chief, for making that happen. The kids really enjoyed that. The 14th is a light parade. And during the day, there'll be the Read On Express, and that'll all be at the train depot. And I think the light parade starts at 6 o'clock.
And the Battle of the Beards is that day as well, I forgot.
The Battle of the Beards is also on the 14th. So a lot of 12 to 4. Okay, so a lot of events going on and on the 14th. Not only this weekend, the 7th with the Bash Begal, but the 14th also. I also want to express my condolences and thoughts for the family of this incident. I know that Chief Robinson, whoever else is going to give a report on our agenda later on. I was able to visit the command post yesterday and visit with some of the family and friends that were at they were at A-Cross. The command post is set up 3 miles ahead. So there's really 2 different groups out there that are looking for this little girl. You got the command post and all the rescue workers from Gila County, and then you have the family who has brought in church groups and different people to also search for her. Lieutenant Virgil Dodd, he's doing an amazing job out there. He's got a tough situation out there, and so they continue to look today. Apparently, they got over close to 300 people out there today in anticipation of the rain. Virgil said that they got search and rescue from all counties, different counties from all over Arizona, and people from out of state to come and look. DPS had a helicopter out there, and apparently the family brought in a helicopter also on their own. So they're searching a 10-mile stretch, and nothing apparently was found today, and hopefully it'll be soon, because I know we're getting that rain tomorrow and those storms. So keep them in your prayers. And I just want to mention that, you know, one of our advocates for our city, and somebody that's making things happen, and because there's a lot of people donating food, or a lot of us, like for Walmart, Fry's, a lot of the restaurants have donated food to take to these rescuers. And I'll tell you what, Carmen Casillas, without any compensation, has been going back and forth every day or twice a day to take food to these rescuers and whatever their needs are. She's taken on that task. So I think, you know, when this is all over, I think she needs the recognition for what she's doing, continued to doing for the last 3 or 4 days. Oh. And that's all I have, Paul.
Mr. Mayor,
wait,
members of
I'm sorry.
council, a couple of quick announcements today. I did want to let you know that 3 members of the Public Works Department passed their water cert, that Brian Palmer and Vince Mariscal passed their water distribution level 2 tests. We're very happy for them. And Will Crenshaw passed his water distribution level 1 test. And so we're always encouraging, you know, people to better themselves and move up through the ranks. And that's part of the process, is these water tests, which are not the easiest. I wouldn't want to take a stab at one. So I wanted to let you know about that. Also, the city staff is busy doing lots to get ready for the holidays and make sure that we celebrate ourselves and help the residents celebrate. In one of those ways that we're doing that is the city has a float in the annual light parade. So we'll be participating in that December 14th. And so Brandon and his crew, who's getting this ready, wanted you to know that as always, the Fleet Department is getting the City of Globe's entry ready with the help of a few other public works staff members. This year, the theme is holiday movies. So to change things up a little bit, when they are diverting from our award-winning train, the one that took first place in Superior last year, as you recall. And, you know, I think there's probably, you know, hopefully we can, you know, do that again. And they're choosing a slightly different direction. Their choice for this year is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, with the help of Mayor Gameros, kind enough to help with the artwork for the reindeer. We have an artist on our council. The idea is to have our participants in side-by-sides as a team of reindeer. And then the fleet service truck as a sleigh full of presents and hopefully a couple of kind-hearted elves. So in saying this would be like to extend the Brandon and the crew at Public Works would like to extend the invitation to council that anybody that has a side-by-side and like to participate, you're welcome to join in and be a full-fledged reindeer. Or you there's room for everyone to ride in the float as an elf in the sleigh. So if you'd like to participate, please contact Brandon. Brandon, you're out there? Yep. And so he's happy to help you get set up, and love to see everybody participating and making a good show. This is a spectacular parade, and it's good that the city has a float and that we'll be represented, and love to see you all in there. And Mr. Mayor, members of council, that's all I have for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Charlene?
I just had one thing I forgot. I'm sorry, Richard. You and Uriel, thank you for they're the ones really doing the downtown decorations, and some of our DOC guys. So I've seen them out there in the mornings when I walk. Thank you so much, Richard, Thomas, and Uriel.
Thank you. So we go to our first community call to the public. This is a time that any citizen desiring to speak on a matter that is not scheduled on this agenda may do so at this time. Comments will be addressed to the council as a whole public body. Council is prohibited from responding to any comments, but may direct staff to follow up. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Please complete a request to speak card located at the rear of the council chambers and turn it into our clerk. This is also a time that you can fill out a request to speak card for any item that is on the agenda, and in those cases, we can respond to you if they are listed on the agenda. And I have one community speak card. That's all you had? So it's Vincent and Stephanie Gonzalez. If you want to come up to the
You come,
mic up here. Yeah.
yep. Just pull that down and
Please state your name and your address, okay?
Stephanie Gonzalez, 547 West Banker Avenue, Globe, Arizona.
Vincent Gonzalez, same address.
We submitted an application for a business license for a business called Roughin' It Pet Sanctuary. And it was, I guess we just found out it was denied. It was been submitted over a week ago. I was called by a young lady from this office that Vincent needed to call Chris Colopy, which he did. And it was denied for reasons that I believe were irrelevant. We're not boarding. I'm doing this already. We just want to make it legal and official. I'm a go-between for a need that is a dire need in this community for abandoned, neglected animals. So I would like somebody to maybe review it. I'm a little confused as to why we even had to present this. I'm just kind of going with what we're being told. But yeah, it's not boarding. And what else and
about not having being able to have
a kennel.
Kennel on our property.
Yeah, I have one kennel, and that's in case I have to watch and then take a dog for whatever reason because you don't know their history or whatever. But I rarely even use that because I have two workers with me. They do the holding and stuff. I'm the one that has like 15 rescue contacts in the valley, and we just have to wait. Sometimes I wait 2 hours until somebody has room, and I'm the transporter, take them down. I don't keep them here in the city. So like I said, I have many contacts down there. I even brought pictures and letters of recommendation of various rescues. I'm experienced in trapping. And I did have to trap one at Roosevelt Lake that was dumped. But if somebody could review it, and like I said, it is I'm contacted all the time on Facebook, and I believe that we provide a service that is really needed in this community.
Thank you. We can't respond to you. Thank you very much, okay?
Mr. Mayor,
Paul, can we get a follow-up report and explanation to council as to why it was denied?
let me meet with you and put together kind of your statements and your feelings on the matter, and then what we determine based on city code and everything like that, get that to council, and if need be, we can bring that back in a future agenda item if there's something to be addressed. I don't want to right now. I'm not sure exactly what the issue is, but we can maybe narrow it down to what the relevant concern is. And then bring it up into a package if council would like to see that come forward. But let's start with some review and definitely an email from me to all of council so you can understand the issue.
Appreciate that.
Okay, and we have your contact information, I'm sure. Okay, and so we'll set something up. Thank you
very much.
Thank you very much. So we have special presentation and ceremonial matters. And first on the agenda is Police Department swearing in of Sergeant Mike Boyd and Officer Natalia Lomo. I'm not going to say it. You want to say that, Chief?
They were giving me good evening, Mayor and Council. They were giving me a little hard time about my pronunciations earlier. So I actually met with Natalia, and I'm going to butcher it now. I've been practicing back there in the seats. Loma Homa. Yeah? All right.
Well, that was easy.
So first I'd like to bring down.
It sounds easier than it looks, right?
Thank goodness. If Judge Perlman would join me down here at the podium. Sergeant Mike Boyd, would you join us down here? This should be a very familiar face to council. He's retired from the Globe Police Department. Mike had a long, tremendous career for the citizens of Globe. He's best known, what I'm finding out throughout the city, is he is probably one of the most popular DARE/SRO officers we've ever had. Officer Verdugo has a lot to live up to follow in his footsteps. So we're very happy to bring him back. He is also a milestone. His position coming on is the first time that the Globe Police Department has been fully staffed based off of what our allotted numbers are in probably 10 to 15 years. So welcome back, Mark. Thank your sidekick, Chuck. It's like bookends.
Well, they kind of look alike too. Oh, is that bad?
Nope, he's just holding it for.
All right, because you saw my balancing last time.
Yeah, I brought you help this time, sir.
Precarious.
Yeah, he didn't.
Congratulations and welcome to work. Esteemed Mayor, Council, pleasure to be here. Mike, let me ask you to raise your right hand. Put your left hand on the Bible, please. Repeat after me. I state your name. Michael Boyd. Do solemnly swear. That I will support. The Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution. And laws. Of the state of Arizona. That I will bear true faith. And allegiance. To the same. And defend them. Against all enemies. Foreign and domestic. And that I will faithfully. And impartially. Discharge the duties. Police Sergeant. According to the best of my ability.
Join us down here. And families welcome to come down.
They're like not budging.
She's actually from the area. She's very familiar with the Cobra Valley community. She's a much needed and added addition to the police department. She just recently graduated the police academy a couple of weeks ago. I was able to go down and see her down there. And so we're really looking forward to her. She's on week 2 of field training. So we're looking for a long, lengthy career out of Natalia.
Great.
Cool. Thank you, Chief. Congratulations and welcome aboard. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and allegiance to the same and defend them against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of police officer according to the best of my ability. Congratulations and welcome aboard.
Congratulations.
Welcome.
Fully staffed.
Fully staffed, that's awesome.
Madrid. So they should be getting out sometime in February. So you'll be seeing them again, hopefully.
Streets maintenance with the Public Works Department. John.
Sending off 2 of our season thing coming up. He's taken the initiative to be part of that process, which I'm happy with because of you. Kenneth comes to us, is going on almost a month of employment with the city of Globe. And he actually comes from Pittsburgh, so I'm sure our winter is nothing compared to what he might be used to. So if you see a guy working out there with just a T-shirt, that would be him. So I just welcome him aboard.
Happy to be here. Happy to help. But yeah, it's not much to me. I moved here to be with my girlfriend and look for
Next, we have recognition of donations to the Salvation Army. Checks from those. Say a few words you can, and just a little bit of what it'll benefit you.
Siobhan told me to go first. Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you very much for the donation to Project ACE. Project ACE stands for All Children Eat in Globe, Miami, and it is a nonprofit organization through the Globe Lions Club, which has placed food and supply pantries in 7 local schools. So all of the schools within Globe and Miami school districts and Liberty High School. Through generous grants through the United Fund, we were able to put washers and dryers in all of those schools, and Gila County gave. And And we have, like I said, food and supply pantries. In the last, since August, we've given out over 7,000 products out of those pantries. And so, although oftentimes it's nice to be sheltered in our world, and I look at how blessed I am and my children are, the truth is that we do have hungry kids, and we have hungry people in our community. We have those that are homeless and those that are food insecure. And so it is just so wonderful when we get to see a city and a community come together to help each other. And that's what this is. And this is a way that we get to show our youth that we care about them. And so it's really nice to be able to do that and to get these donations. And this really is how we produce citizens in the future, is by letting them know that there's a lot of people and a greater good that cares for them. So just want to thank you for that. I also want to say I was out hiking the creek all day, Tonto Creek today, looking for that sweet little girl. And although it's very solemn, there is also an incredible feeling of hope and love out there, which is just really wonderful. So I wanted to make sure you guys knew that there was that going on too. So beauty in the time of crisis as well.
Thank you, Chris. Ed, any words or?
I don't do a whole lot of talking, but I do want to say thank you for the donation of the $1,000. And I will be filling 200 food boxes this Christmas season. I've already done my angel tree. I have a whole lot of families and a whole lot of kids. So that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you both.
That's not what John said.
Mayor, do you want to come down for a photo? Or?
Yeah, if we can get the council or also behind or something, because this came from all of us, not just, on the. Or we can go down there, either one.
What are we doing?
What are we doing? Go down.
Taking a picture.
All of us?
Yeah, make it down there.
It would be a
Down
better
below,
picture
yeah.
down there, please.
Right.
The mayor will give it back to you, but make sure you get the right one. I was gonna say, know your order.
I'm short. There you go. There you go. And okay, we got 2 men on the right, and somebody's got to jump over the left. I think the mayor ought to get in the middle. Three on one side, 3 on the other. Mike, I need you gotta get on the side. Yeah, no, I gotta do balance. Okay, there you go.
Okay.
Good.
And to our recipients, there is no live check in there. We'll get the one check delivered and the other check's been delivered. So if you go home and you don't see a check, you didn't lose it.
Excuse me? Oh, no.
Vote for Chair Shirley.
Oh my gosh.
You voted against
This is for you.
Right, Freddie?
You know what?
We got a wheel up here loose.
Yeah.
You voted for it.
That's okay. You got 4 left.
There's only 2 of us that voted for it.
So next we have presentation to council by High Desert Humane Society regarding the capture and release of spayed feral cats, and we have Cheryl Brazel.
City Council and Mayor Gameros, first of all, thank you for this opportunity to talk to you regarding the High Desert Humane Society's Trap, Neuter, Release program. The Humane Society is well aware of the huge problem feral cats have created in this community. The TNR program was recently implemented with the help of the Animal Defense League of Arizona. It is off to a great start, and the Humane Society believes that this is the best, most humane way to help this community regarding the feral cat problem. 3 trips have been made with 27 cats fixed in a 2-week period. Thanksgiving week, we we skipped that one. The Trap Neuter Release Program started with training from ADL, the Animal Defense League. They furnish the traps and they are there for support. Peter Beasley spearheaded this to get it going with ADL. The Humane Society also started with $4,000 in donations that are set aside for the program and 10 volunteers willing to trap and transport the cats back and forth to Mesa. 10 volunteers is a big deal if you know how hard it is to get volunteers these days. This is wonderful. A list has been started with hundreds of cats scheduled for trapping in various neighborhoods. This list is growing as the word gets out. Most are willing to have them back into their yards after they are altered. If the cats are not welcome back, we will try to find ranches or places where they are welcome and will be fed and safe. The Humane Society is aware there is a hoarding problem in some neighborhoods. The Humane Society does not in any way condone this behavior. If given the addresses, we will trap these cats by putting traps on neighboring properties. Humane Society volunteers will not trespass, but if neighbors will assist, the problem can be fixed. The Humane Society believes if given the opportunity, we can make a big difference in our community with this program. This will stop the fighting and screeching and noise due to breeding and stop the many litters born unwanted in our neighborhoods. The plan to stop feeding, hoping they will die, is inhumane and creates other problems. Not fed, cats will spread out looking for food and breed even more, and starving means suffering, which, even not being a cat person particularly, goes against all I believe in and what the Humane Society stands for. So, the Humane Society is asking of you a 1 year moratorium on the not feeding of feral cats so that we can have a chance to show how this works. This has been very successful in other communities, and the Humane Society asks for the opportunity to make it work here. Please, would you help the Humane Society to help these innocent animals, as their situation is not of their own doing? People not taking care to alter their pet cats has created this problem over time, and now we, all of us, have to fix it. The 13 feral cats that have been around the Humane Society thrift store and dog rescue have been trapped and taken to our barn, Richard and I, our barn in the country. Only 2 remain downtown, and we will do the same with them. Pam Austin is the director of this program, and she schedules and keeps track of all that is going on. The Humane Society feels that because of the strong support we are getting and the positive feedback, that our community strongly favors what we are doing. It is a big undertaking downtown. The beautiful poster in the window of the Humane Society Donation Center window, it was done by Chris McLean, and the paw prints show the cats that are being altered. So it's going to get more and more and more paw prints, and the community can see what we're doing and that it's making a difference. We would like, our goal is to do 10 per week or more if we can trap more. 40 a month will make a difference real fast. So we're just asking not to punish people right now for feeding, and let us prove to you that it will work. We really believe in this program, and we're working hard to keep it going. So if you have any questions.
Questions?
I have some comments.
Okay.
So Cheryl handed this out. I don't know if there's any for the audience, but this is from the Animal Defense League, is how to manage your cat population. This is really well done, and I might add that this has really proven effective in other communities, but it says to feed cats on a schedule. Then you can get idea of how many cats, what do they look like, are they sterilized or not. You need to leave the food out for no longer than an hour because the cats will learn to quickly arrive at the same time every day. This will help you efficiently trap the cats. Situate the food away from high traffic areas. The goal is for the area not to be visible to the public. This is 2 pages. I could go on and on. This is well done. This is very well thought out, and it is very well done.
It's an awesome organization.
It really is, and they have done this in other communities with great success. So yeah, I think this is the answer to our probably 1,000 feral cats we have.
Not more.
Several thousand.
But we're willing to take it on, and we've started, and we believe in it. We think it can make a huge difference. It's not going to happen overnight. I wish I could tell you that, next month I can come and say, well, they're all fixed. They're not making any noise. They're not bothering anybody. It's not that kind of program. But I wish we had hope that one of their members could speak tonight, because they're good at explaining this. They have worked so hard and so long with it. But not feeding them really creates more problems. They go hunting then, and they can be harmful to domestic cats. A lot of people let their cats out during the daytime. This can be a problem to domestic cats. And so we just ask that you bear with us for a year.
Be a variance then for the Humane Society, to where they had a moratorium for a year, just the Humane Society to feed the feral cats, where we're not asking the entire public to feed the feral cats, but just the Humane Society, so they can catch them and do what they're
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Councilman Leatham, I think the biggest goal of the law is so that one neighbor's compassion for cats doesn't result in the surrounding neighbors suffering with the hoarding and the smells and everything that goes with having that cluster of cats. And I'm not totally convinced that we need to modify the law if we're just putting food down for an hour. If attendees are going and putting food down for an hour, now that's to trap them. When they come back and you release them, you have to leave food out in an area, is my understanding?
Well, we don't take them back to where we trap them unless someone there is willing to take care of them.
Does that require them to leave food out 24/7?
No.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't.
They need to be
Yeah.
taught to.
Right. And so I think, somebody setting food out for an hour, then picking it back up, we'd have to research that's the definition of unintended feeding. I think the spirit of the law was somebody leaving food out forever and feeding the cats and not taking responsibility for them. And so
the rats and the skunks and
Yeah.
the possums and the
Right.
javelina.
And-
You can't just leave 50-pound sacks of food out, and that was happening
Yeah.
in my neighborhood. I know. Yeah, it does happen. That's what the law was geared
So-
towards, my understanding, correct?
So but back to your question, some type of a waiver for somebody who has a plan and lets us know where we're going to be feeding them. I think that's the important thing. So if there does a problem and neighbors complain, then we can go back to that person who's putting out how much food, when, and things like that. So I'm sure that we can come to some type of arrangement that can let this program, which has been successful, work without imposing onto the people. The other thing is maybe getting buy-in from the local neighbors. If you have a house, you want to put that neighbor or that person wants to put food there, make sure that the people close to them understand what the goal is. But we'd have to look at it and make sure that it doesn't, even what we come up with is compatible with the law. And if we got to modify it, if we got to do a waiver, if we got to do some type of a modification, we can bring it back to council.
Yeah,
Question, Mr.
Vice Mayor.
So,
Mike, I'll get in first and then I'll get you.
Which one? Mike and Mike, go ahead.
Yeah,
You're
sorry.
first, you're bigger.
Have multiple cats but don't want to follow the rules of the city. Would you teach them or how to go about that? Or
We would be glad to sit down with them and discuss the problem. And we haven't run into it yet, but I'm sure we will. Someone who's feeding 20, 30 cats, and maybe they'll agree to having them fixed, but we don't want to put that many cats back into a neighborhood with a small yard. That's not manageable. So these people, we will have to address in a different way and convince them that some of these cats need to go to the country where they will have a barn. The cats that we took to our barn have a wonderful life. They have a loft, they have a tack room they can get into with a door open this wide so nothing else can get in there. And I know of other ranchers that do the same thing. They've had cats for years, but they take proper care of them. And if we can convince these people that we know of places like this, I wouldn't want 30 cats next door to me, but we can, if the neighbors will help us, trap on their property and get these cats fixed. And if they're feral, we don't have to take them back there. These are free cats that, and it's not their fault. That's the sad thing. People created this problem. Now people have to clean it up.
We tried trapping, Michelle, you know what I'm talking about, and it turned into a disaster. I've had this problem for 10 years now, and it continues and continues.
What did you do with the trapped cats?
We didn't trap them. The individual took the traps. I actually had to have Michelle come remove them because it turned into an argument between myself and the individual, and it wasn't a good situation at all. It sounds good, but when you have to live next door to it, I mean, I've had threats. I've had all sorts of things. Trash thrown in my yard, bottles thrown at me, name calling, you name it.
Surely
So,
there's
pictures taken.
something that can be done to prosecute a
But I'm
person
not
like
the
that.
only person that has the
Yeah.
problem. It's the surrounding neighbors, but
I'm
they're
sure.
all afraid to.
I'm
and
sure.
This person's lived there forever. So,
Is this person stable?
no.
I didn't figure she was. Oh, I said she. It usually is a she. But I'm sorry you're suffering that kind of thing. It's not fair. And I would.
As you well know, during summer season, monsoon season, it's worse.
Oh,
The whole
sure.
house is
Sure.
permeated with cat urine, and it's like a yellow cloud.
I'm sure there are others in the Humane Society that would go with me and try and talk to this person. I would love to try. And we want the community happy with, and in time, the numbers will diminish. Doesn't happen overnight, but I'll talk to ADL about that. I haven't actually discussed that situation of hoarding with them and a person that's unstable and vicious, dangerous. I mean, this sounds like a dangerous person.
I'm not afraid of her, but it's not a pleasure.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
Yeah. Did you have a question, Mike?
Go ahead, Mike.
Yep. So you bring the cats back, you don't take them back to the people that were taking care of them? Where do you do you give them, do you have people lined up
If
to
it's a
take them?
small, yes, we've got lots of people lined up. If it's a small colony, so far, we've just had people with like 6 cats. We had, hate to admit, 13 down by the dog rescue. And of course, we removed ours, and we've got 2 still to remove. But most people have small colonies, and they're willing to take care of those cats if we'll get them fixed so that it doesn't grow. They'll take care of those. And some of them even offer to pay for it. They're so happy that we're doing this, and we have found a place for $25 a cat, we can get them fixed.
That's so reasonable.
That's just incredible.
You know, Cheryl, I so believe in your program and you and Richard and all you do.
Well, it's Pam and lots of people.
Yeah, Pam's here. Pam is the director of.
Yes, she
that.
is.
And Brenda is the director or the
She's the president.
president of the Humane Society. Anyways, I have this check for you for your program. It's a great thing.
Oh, it's a great check. Thank you.
That one is a live check, so.
Yeah.
don't lose it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Ready, Fernando?
So,
You guys have any questions?
okay. Thank you very much for
Wait,
listening.
Fernando, we got some more questions. Fernando?
It's not so much a question, but I'm leaning more towards what Jesse's idea is. Instead of changing the policy or the ordinance, because then people, well, you let them do it and not these guys. I think it'd be better to almost deputize them to do this program on behalf of the city so that we can mitigate the feral cat issue. So almost in essence, give them a permit to operate in this manner, knowing that the result is minimizing the problem versus having some other guy says, well, you let them feed them and I'm feeding them. And how do you know I'm not trapped? You know, I just don't want to go there. And I just think that you're going to open a can of worms. But if we do it in a way of deputizing them, it'll be better for all of us.
Well, Mr. Mayor, Councilman Shepley, I mean, I could see that in a case that where you do have someone who is recklessly feeding cats and causing a ruckus in the neighborhood, that you could go in, do the training, control the feeding, because just leaving it out there is not the right answer. Do the trapping, and talk to them as, you know, as passionate cat person to passionate cat person, that you're, and explain the better way to handle the cat problem. And so it would actually, I think, take some of the work off of code enforcement. It's just going to write a citation to get them to stop if you can retrain them or help alleviate the problem. So I don't see it. What you're trying to do is contrary to our desire to limit cat population and not impact the neighborhood so well. So you would be like the cat SWAT team.
I think people like, I'd be.
You'd be the feral cat SWAT team to go in and,
Feral cat
you know.
SWAT team.
So-
I think people like this need to be convinced if they really love these cats, they're not doing justice to them. These cats are still suffering with the way they're being treated. This isn't a good thing for the cats. So maybe if we sit down and talk and reason, I'd like to think we can make a difference. We'll sure try. We sure will try.
So, Mr. Mayor, members of council, I was in the valley donating to a place that takes donations for animal rescue, Halo, and struck up a conversation about the Animal Defense Fund, this whole program, and this woman was like raving about it down there, and then she knew the Stephanie that we had tried to get up here. I would like to take some time, get a hold of the Animal Defense League myself, figure out the details of the program, see how this would fit within our ordinance, and then come up with a way we can, to the point, deputize or allow a variance for the Humane Society to take this action that I think will help do what the ordinance is meant to do, which is help alleviate this cluster of feral cats in neighborhoods.
But in the meantime, we can still allow the Humane Society to continue with this program and allow them to feed the cats.
Well, I mean, if they're laying food out and leaving it overnight.
1 hour a day.
What's that?
1 hour
Yeah.
a day.
And
You're proposing
right.
1 hour a day.
So
I'm in favor of that.
yeah, let me get work on the interpretation of the law and how and have a further conversation.
Your interpretation of the law?
Well, it would be the attorney's interpretation of the law. Okay.
Cheryl, I have a question too, just for my information. If we do not spay these cats, how much will they multiply in a year?
Oh, my goodness.
I don't know anything about cats, so
There are statistics, they're bigger than my mind can handle. It's
one
just
cat, if one
one
can.
cat,
Wow, so 18 times whatever.
No, those cats have babies. And
Okay. So about 18, it triples their, and if you bring back a spayed cat, how long is their lifespan? How long will they live if they're fed and? You want to come up so we can hear you and?
Get you on record. Pay no attention to the camera.
camera? There's a camera?
Right there.
There you are.
Here I am.
Go ahead.
Okay, on the feral cats and how they go. They can have up to 3 litters a year. And like I said, anywhere, a lot of times the first time moms will only have a few, but by the time they're to their second or third litter, they're up to 6 a lot of times. And usually multiple males involved. Anyway, once they're fixed, their lifespan is usually within 10 years. I mean, it takes anybody who has had cats before, you have to have them in a house and or in and out. But in order to extend their life to 15 or 20 years, they really need to be in a home. They need the comforts and not the stresses of outside. But when you put them outside, and they are outside, their natural lifespan is going to be about 10 years at max. And one of the things I wanted to say is that I get concerned when I think about the feral cats not getting controlled, not being fed, because the first thing that's going to happen is we're going to have disease. We're going to see disease move in, and then any cat and any person who has cats that are allowed outside and are not vaccinated are going to end up with the problems, and you will see huge increases in the disease process. So it's not safe to have them multiplying like that and out of control or starving to death. So.
Can I ask a question? I'm ignorant about cats.
That's
okay.
okay.
So do you fix both the males and the females?
Both the males and the females.
Okay.
Everybody gets fixed.
Okay.
So there are no more randoms. And we go back. If we do not get, there are 2 kittens that we could not catch at the thrift store outside in that alley. They were playing out there tonight after we all left. And I got to see them. And they are being very stealthy. But what we will do is within the next week or 2, we will be going back to the 1-hour feeding so that we can get the 2 of them. They're 2 little black cats. And we will get them, and we will get them fixed. The important thing is to get each colony completely done. And that's why if we follow these rules are excellent. And if we follow them, the cat's ears will be notched, so no one will mistake it for being feral and unfixed. We will be able to describe the colonies. We will know, the high desert will know where the biggest areas are and where they're spreading to, or where we can see additional problems growing, from cats that are left behind by people. That's where a lot of the ferals come from. Our people leave cats or drop them.
You said there was approximately 800 feral cats running around here right now?
Oh, at least. I would think several thousand, probably 2,000, within the Globe Miami area.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay? Not in Globe itself, right downtown, no. But in the Globe Miami area. I already have on my list, I have people calling all the time, and I have at least 100 cats on the list already. And I'm not getting all the calls. Some of the calls are being routed. People call the different numbers we have. So, but I'll do them as fast as I can get them done.
And I just have to add this. So this is a 12-hour day for these folks. They got to go get these cats out of the traps and haul them down to the valley and wait till they all get altered and then bring them back and then take, this is extreme dedication. It really is. It's extreme dedication on the Humane Society's part, and I think we really need to support this.
Well, it appears we do have a problem in our city, and I think within our ordinance that we can fix that so we can make this happen. And just one more question, is there a measurable, can you measure this in a year from now, 3 years, 10 years from now, that we're successful, or you guys are successful in your program?
That's the point of the board that we started, that's up at the donation center right now. We'd like to get a copy of it and keep it, or at least through the winter, maybe have it out at the Center for the Arts, if they'll let us put it up. It'll be a duplicate of the board in the donation center, only made to be outside. Okay. Somewhere where all of Globe can see, and the surrounding area can see what's happening. But I've gotten calls as far away as the Tonto Basin area, Roosevelt in that area, Miami, Superior, the reservation. It's all of the areas have started calling in because of the one article we had in the paper. So and I've got 100 cats on the list right now that I know of that we've got to trap. And that's within a fairly close radius. So.
Where's the donation center? Over here?
It's on Broad, right down from.
Across from the huddle.
Oh, okay, the cat house.
Everybody knows where the huddle is.
I know.
Cat house, right?
One more thing I would like you to know. It's an option to give them shots. When we take them down and get them altered, get the surgery, we don't have to give them shots, but we're spending the money to give them shots so they won't get this disease that spreads and can be dangerous. So we're going the extra mile. It's going to take a lot of money, and we're hoping that the funds will keep coming in because people really want to see this fixed. They really do.
Thank you very much. Oh, Freddie, I'm sorry.
Thank you. On the disease, is this a disease that just stays with the cat?
No. I'm talking about things like rabies, for one, distemper, which can spread to all cats. Some of the cats some of the diseases are strictly cat diseases, but you find they run over into other categories if you let them get run down. Cats that are being fed all the time, whether they're ferals or not, those cats have a much stronger immune system and they tend to survive better. So the 1 hour feeding is great because what that does for you, that 1 hour feeding, is you get to start counting, you get to see the whole colony at one time. So you know how many there are, what they look like, and what kind of health they're in. If there are any that we take down that are sick, they will get treated before they will be released back to the person. We'll find a treatment center for them, whether it's up here or down in the valley. We'll get them treated. We won't turn them loose sick.
There's also respiratory illness.
Right.
There's feline leukemia.
Yeah.
And some of these things, other animals as well as human beings can contract.
Catch. Yeah.
So it's really important to deal with this.
So it's good not to get them run down and get them sick, you know.
Well, and don't cats get these respiratory diseases from stress?
Sometimes.
So if they're
Sometimes.
if they're secure in where they are and they're fed and they stay close to home, they're not going to be stressed.
The interesting thing is too, cats that are the feral cat populations, when they're stressed, when they're put under stress, so not being fed being one of them, they have more litters and more babies. It's nature's way of assuring that there's a survival, and it's through scientists have figured it all out. Not me, but scientists. I just do the research. Anything else?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'll take a close look at the program, see where the compatibility is, where any conflict is, and if need be, we'll bring back something to make any adjustments we may need. And thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have City of Globe Council shall hear a presentation from the City of Globe Economic Development Department on the Michelson Co-working Space Project in partnership with Gila County, Freeport, McMoran, and the Town of Miami. And Linda.
That check was really live, like flew out of her hand.
5 checks, 2 dead checks, yeah.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I know that you've had a chance to read the staff report that had much more detail that I'm going to go into in the update this evening for you and for the public. Before we get to the project update, I'm just going to kind of do a quick overview of what the project is, so in case anybody in the audience is not familiar with that. Okay, so the Michelson Project, from our past to our future. And I think you've seen this graphic before. The Michelson building is 8,000 square feet. And this is our 5-year goal. In the first 5 years, we hope to service and welcome 25,000 visitors. And I think that's a very doable number. The Center for the Arts welcomes over 10,000 a year. Our public library welcomes, I think we're on track to hit about 52,000 this year. I don't know if Adria is back there. which is only one short block away, help to develop 500 entrepreneurs and service their needs. We hope to have a kids coding club that will be open to both Globe Miami kids. We hope to host 200 community events. We hope to see, and actually from this point on, this is our yearly goal, that we hope to create 100 new jobs, and that may be single jobs with each entrepreneur being the sole employee of his own company. Host 40 lunch and learns, create 50 mentors to help service each entrepreneur and their needs, and I'll get more into that when we talk about co-starters. We are in close proximity to 49 parking spots, which is a topic that we'll discuss later on tonight too, because parking is a hot topic in our community. There will be 11 private offices, and actually I think this number is going to grow, because as we're working with the county and the architects and the structural engineers, and I think I mentioned this during our last presentation, we definitely need to be putting back a couple of original walls so that what once would be open community space will now be private offices. So I think this number is going to grow to 13, and we'll know that more by January. We're going to have 5 meeting rooms, and this is upstairs and downstairs. 3 community managers working the site at all times. We're going to have 1 large classroom that will be open not just to the members of our co-working space, but also to the nonprofit community and our bed tax organizations. A treadmill desk, because who doesn't need a treadmill desk? 2 standing desks. We're going to be part of one amazing historic Main Street. We will have weekly kid learning programs, and so that we will have a space designated just for that. And we hope to be partnering with Cahoots. And when I'm going to go back and forth and kind of use co-working space and Cahoots interchangeably, because this project came out of a relationship that we developed with Cahoots, which is a Phoenix-based co-working space company. And they've helped us develop this prospectus and the floor plan. And we're still working with them and moving forward, hopefully in partnership with them. And the way that would come about is through additional grant funding, because to become it's like a franchise member of Cahoots. There is, of course, a cost, but that does purchase your IT infrastructure, your programming, access. So having all of this already packaged, and as far as the IT part, which would really save us and Danny over there in the corner a lot of time, but also the access to amazing programming that's already going on in the entrepreneurial world of Arizona. But we would be part of, they're the #1 innovative co-working space in the nation, and they're top 10 in the world. So being able to partner with Cahoots is huge, and they are right now partnering with the city of Mesa. Mesa has invited them to be part of their downtown revitalization. So they've offered Cahoots access to, I think it's 15,000 square feet of space for 5 years at no cost to Cahoots. And they've seen what Cahoots has been able to do in downtown Phoenix. They originally were part of the Roosevelt Row development area, and then the city of Phoenix identified another area that they would like to see similar revitalization brought into, and so they foot the bill for Cahoots to move into this area, which is still their Phoenix operation on Indianola. And then the city of Mesa, they were to have opened this past fall, but of course when you're working with 100-plus-year-old buildings, there's some hiccups that you go through. So now the deadline, the open date should be spring of 2020. So since we began our economic development work with our community, there's been a push towards developing a vision for businesses and business owners of the Globe downtown district and community-wide. And this push has been, where can our current business owners and business operators who might be operating a business out of their homes, where can they go for the types of services and support that they may need to hopefully take their home-based business into a Main Street business. And so we've seen other communities do this successfully, and it's been done very successfully in other rural communities such as Nogales, and Douglas just received a grant to get a co-work space and business incubator up and going. So this is not something that is just useful when you are part of an urban area. They're saying that this creation of a entrepreneurial ecosystem is really important when you're wanting to sustain your greatest assets. The businesses that we have are really our greatest assets, that we need to support them and help them to be the most successful that they can be, because 80% of economic growth comes from existing businesses. So in partnering with Cahoots, we hope that having this co-work space with flex offices, community meeting rooms, and business support resources will help make our historic downtown building be part of that catalyst of redevelopment for our downtown community. And it's in close proximity to what we hope to attract as our workforce. So this type of situation is going on already in Vida E Cafe. People are taking their laptops there and they're working remotely. So we are creating the space and giving them access to the space to grow their business and be an integral part of our community. And we're going to have a downtown visitor center and information center, which I think is important to have in our downtown. I don't see it as competition with the Chamber of Commerce. I think it's in collaboration with our chamber, because the chamber is on the highway. Visibility, I mean, that's their greatest asset. But then they go to the chamber and say, hey, you know, what's there to do in downtown? And so then Tiana, our new chamber director, can point the direction into the downtown. So, you know, go check Vida out, go eat at Bloom, go check out, now we have Splash of Copper that just opened today, and Turn the Page, which Charlene has an amazing poncho from. And then they can come into the Michelson building and see what current community events do we have going. And we will be up to date on all current community events, not just in Globe, but Miami and Gila County. And then we're currently in the process of developing an amazing line of cool city swag so that we can have that for sale in our visitor center. Because when you go and explore a new community, you want to come back with a sticker for your water bottle, or a cool t-shirt, or a cool hat. So we're going to give them that to buy in our place. Okay, there we go. Okay, this is the floor plan that we developed with Jenny Poon, the founder of Cahoots. The top image is the ground floor, and then the bottom image is, they call it the first floor, but it's the second floor. And upstairs you can see all the individual office spaces. And like I said, that I think there will be 2 added to this. I wanted to read you this. This is from an Arizona case study when the then Phoenix Mayor Greg Stanton toured the brand new facility that they helped move onto Indianola. He responded, "Everyone in here has an idea and a passion, and when they..." Absolutely, because we're the rural leader of a fresh and emerging model. So are we the first to do it? No, but I think that we are partnering with those who are the best at doing this. We hope to grow, of course, existing businesses and be the incubator for new ventures, and to nurture our creative and entrepreneurial community. You know, we're part of 9 creative communities in the state of Arizona, and I think tying that right into this business incubator, I think it's a great segue into how can we be better supporting and utilizing our creatives in our community and helping them take that and launch new businesses, because it's already going on. It was a huge part of the Christmas marketplace this past weekend. We had 15 vendors, and all 15 of the vendors, they're not very interested, not yet, in having a downtown business space because they just don't have the capacity to support that. But if they could have access to a place that would help develop their business plan, gain access to capital, to build the type of plan that would eventually take them to maybe being part of a business co-op where they have a retail stall. I think that eventually would probably be our phase 2. That's what we would like to see come after the business incubator launches. So now for the project date, where are we at? Because, you know, we want to open our doors right now and get started. So like I had mentioned, Gila County has been doing major demo work since the spring rains, and they've gone upstairs and had to take out the entire ceiling. There was a drop ceiling below the original ceiling. They had to take out the original ceiling, which was all plaster, which was tremendous weight on the trusses. And so there are 6 trusses that need to be replaced. And I just talked to Bob Hickman right before Thanksgiving, and we have funding. We have $300,000 in funding, which is amazing, and we didn't think we'd have it at this point. But again, there's a lot more work that needs to be done, and that's going to be quite a stretch for that budget. So we've reached out to other community stakeholders that haven't come to the project yet to see if we can receive some support, either in-kind support with access to structural and mechanical and electrical engineers, or direct support in the form of dollars, live checks. There we go. And so we are meeting with, right after, I think it's in 2 weeks, we have a meeting with the the architect that the county has on a retainer for all of their capital projects, so that we can be at the point where if we secure this funding and we know that we are moving forward with the replacement of the roof, and we're also looking into solar panels and making this as green a project as possible. And something that I had talked to Councilman Shipley about, if we're tearing the roof off, wouldn't it be amazing to have an outdoor space up on the roof? And that's actually a possibility after talking to our architect last month. So that would be an amazing, asset to have on this building. And then, of course, we need to move forward with meeting with James Menlove, the Gila County manager, and formalizing our relationship with Gila County in the form of an IGA. Again, a good problem to have that funding came so quickly that now we have to, put all the puzzle pieces in place. Okay, so what entrepreneurial and business resources are going to be available at our incubator space? So we have launched the RCAC Start, Grow, and Revive Your Business program, which is still ongoing. We have 6 active members. Two have finished their business plans and are now seeking capital to launch, and 3 others have applied for funding to actually open up a joint storefront, which was really exciting to see, because when we were all going through the first cohort together, they were 3 kind of unlikely partners, but they've formed a plan that they will all be able to utilize the same space and share in the cost of the overhead for the business. The next one is Co-Starters and McClure. Co-Starters we are going to be launching that program in January, and that is, we are working with Enoch Elwell. He's the founder of Co-Starters. They're working with 2,700 other communities worldwide. They have this is huge, 80% success rate. So after 3 years, 80% of the businesses that go through this program are still in business, which is a wonderful number if you are kind of following that. And so we have tapped 7 local business people to be mentors for this program. And after they are trained, we will launch in January to create the first cohort of not just new businesses, but existing businesses that want to either strengthen their model or in fact, there's one business that we're working with right now, and they're in a ledge right now. They're thinking maybe I'm not going to be open in 3 months, and so we're working with them to take a look at their financial model, their merchandising plan. Where is your cash flow locked up? And so we're helping them to assess their current operations, and if there's something right now that they can change to survive those 3 months and then get right into our program and grow. We'll be partnering with our local Small Business Development Center at Gila Community College. We currently are partners with the Southern Gila County EDC, the Revolving Business Loan Program. This is huge. We just recently set new parameters. A small business person can now apply for up to $45,000 per loan, and they can apply for multiple loans. Of course, the Globe Miami Chamber of Commerce and the Dream Builder Women's Business Creator through Freeport and the Thunderbird School of Global Management. This is a program that we've never taken advantage of as a community. Graham Greenlee has graduated 30 entrepreneurs, and they're not all women, even though it does say it was created for women entrepreneurs, but it is open to all. Again, lunch and learns, our weekly lunch and learns will be a huge part of our programming that we offer, and also financial literacy that is already being offered right now through the U of A Cooperative Extension Program. So where our funding came from. So we received $150 from Freeport McMoran Foundation, and that was matched by Gila County. The City of Globe, through our budget process, we have set aside $25,000 for the outfitting of the space, desk, chairs. And then we have just also received, which we're in the middle of our technical assistance with McClure and Co-Starter, the USDA Ready Grant. And what we didn't know until this past meeting with our team, that the value of this grant is $100,000. $50,000 came from USDA, but $50,000 came from Freeport McMoran Foundation. So Freeport has been an extremely amazing partner to us. Hopefully this will work. This is a little video that was put together specifically for Globe and Cahoots.
Welcome to Cahoots, a major driver of local economic development that creates vibrant communities by helping cities retain talent, build businesses, and nurture a strong culture of innovation. Driving success isn't as simple as putting desks in a room and hoping it's all going to work out. Cahoots has recently been ranked the #1 most innovative co-working space in the U.S. and #9 in the world because we know how to support entrepreneurs. Cahoots is more than a physical space. We're a collaboration hub that connects entrepreneurs, startups, and the greater business community. It's the most effective way to create opportunities that will change a city's economic trajectory for generations to come. In the last 2 years, Cahoots member companies have created more than 200 jobs and generated more than $50 million in total revenue. We are a safe space where all people can launch, scale, and yes, sometimes even fail. The magic is being the connective tissue to all the resources an entrepreneur would
questions?
Fernando.
My question is kind of on your sustainability model. So, do you I assume that people will pay to be part or be housed there, and do you see that covering the expenses, or is it more the success that they'll bring down the road that will recoup the investment made by the county and the city and Freeport?
Well, the ongoing O&M, the keeping the lights on, and just the regular maintenance of the building is sustainable strictly through the memberships. So with the addition of the swag, that will help us to expand our programming offerings, and also any other resources that we may need to purchase for the programming in the co-work space. So upstairs there are hopefully would be 13 spaces, and so those spaces are to be leased for $349. And I didn't bring out the proposed budget because we're still kind of floating those numbers. I would actually like to see a couple of I'd like to see 4 offices downstairs, because there is not an elevator in the space, and that way that there would be ADA access accommodation for somebody who's wanting a private office. But if we are able to I think our maximum at the lower tier membership level, I think we definitely, in fact, we've started, since we have been discussing this in the community, have taken the temperature of potential members and at what membership level would they be coming in at. Lower tier, we've surveyed our market. We feel that we can secure 500 memberships at the lower tier, and just even if we're not be able to rent a space right off the bat, the upstairs, the upper tier membership level, just through our lower tier, we can keep the lights on and maintain the building.
Now, you mentioned you're going to have 3 employees?
Yes.
And will those be paid for by the members, or will Cahoots hire them? Will they be a city employee? Will it be a county employee?
So that would be Melissa I and hopefully a Vista.
Oh, okay. So you guys would actually be housed out of there.
Yes.
Doing both.
Yes, we'd be moving our economic development department into there. Southern Gila County EDC would have an office there, and there are other stakeholders in the community that have committed to the private office spaces upstairs, which we have 5 verbally secured.
Charlie.
So the $349, that's per month, $349
Yes.
per month times 13 offices. What then, to explain the membership? So they pay rent, that would be rent.
Right.
Then they're paying a membership on top of that?
No, that is their membership.
That is the membership, the
Right.
per month.
And yes, the per month cost. So the upper tier, your membership is covered, but your access, you have the private office access. And then at the lower tier, you have access to all the open space downstairs. So there's going to be meeting rooms that you can host private meetings in. There will be like phone booths if you are on a webinar or if you are doing a conference call, so you can have some private quiet space and that you're not disturbing other members. And again, this is all modeled after co-work space operations in other communities, and the one that we specifically keep going back to is Cahoots. The size of their footprint is very similar to this. In fact, the number of offices upstairs, and even if we were to sell, be able 50% of the lower tier membership levels downstairs, that we would be self-sustaining within 1 year. Our goal was to be self-sustaining, of course, as quickly as possible, and other incubators and co-work spaces, the word escapes me, but within 3 years has been typically the point when these workspaces are self-sustainable. And so with the size of our space, going to market and taking a survey, what will our community support? We're very confident that this will be a successful model for us.
So will the Cahoots be, that's a franchise, I'm assuming?
It is.
So is that what we're thinking that building's gonna be, and what's that cost?
So that has a cost of $35,000, but
Per year?
no, one-time cost, and that is something that we are going after grant funding in order to secure. And it can be done without moving forward with Cahoots. It's the advantages outweigh the cost moving forward with them.
Mike.
Big Mike or Little Mike?
Mike on the end.
Linda, a very nice presentation, but I'm kind of curious about the construction, demolition, and the building. You indicated there was approximately, is that $400,000 is plus 25,000, I think, maybe 425,000.
325.
$325,000. That's for the whole ball of wax, or?
Yeah, well, actually, the roof is 175, and then the remainder goes to putting the ceiling back up upstairs, taking the drop ceiling out downstairs, and reopening the windows on Sycamore. So it's right now, if there's nothing catastrophic that happens between now and then, that we'll be on budget.
So the way the building sits now, whenever it's ready and into 2020, you'll only have spent $350,000?
Well, the county has invested much more than the 150 that they've matched the Freeport funding with.
Okay.
They started major demo work and some electrical stuff that happened before we secured any grant funding.
So will that be all in place prior to you starting the construction necessary for the building that we're going to do?
That the demo will be done?
That the building, this is already in place, the electrical and some of the demo? Or?
Yes. Yeah, most of the demo has been done. And again, I think that I had mentioned this during a previous presentation. The grant funding, Gila County owns the Michelson building. So we applied in partnership with Gila County. So the county has the funding to rehab the building for the use of a business incubator in partnership with the City of Globe.
That's $165,000?
That's the 150 from Freeport, and then they committed the 150 match also to that 150 from Freeport.
County did?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I hope that's enough money to do the job that you're talking about.
Well, where's that 100,000 Ready grant come into play?
That's a technical assistance grant. It's not a capital grant.
Mike, you have a question?
Yeah, I know you said 49 parking spots. So I'm super curious on where
Well, there's 44 across the street.
Are we gonna do a high-rise parking garage or
Or an
is that what's gonna
underground?
go on the roof?
There we go. That's why we need a flat roof.
Parking's huge.
It is huge.
A huge problem. So you're thinking the Old Dominion parking lot, or?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I have another.
Safeway.
Oh, no. We can't.
So my question is, and I'm sure you got somebody working on the IT, but my thinking is that you're going to need some pretty powerful bandwidth to handle the type of activity that's going to be there, and especially in the numbers that you're hoping.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to go with fiber? Or are you going to make sure that part, because that'll knock you out of the game real quick if you don't have the bandwidth you need.
Actually, we've been contacted by Zayo, who's
Mm-hmm.
doing the E-rate project with GUSD, and so there is potential partnership and funding there to help move that part of the project along.
So you're taking that into consideration now?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Linda, this 35,000 one-time franchise fee, that gets you what now?
That you basically buy the IT package, all the internal infrastructure that goes into supporting this type of an operation, and then access to all past, present, and future programming that is developed within Cahoots, And so, which includes facilitators, guest speakers. So you have access to these types of resources through that membership.
Ready. Thank you, Mayor. So great presentation. You know, I think this is a great opportunity for our region, for this community, for the county, and all the surrounding areas. And I hear a lot of, you know, how are we going to get it done? How are we going to get it done? You know, and that's all fine. But I like to look at it another way. I said, and the way I look at it is, what can we do to make it happen? Mm-hmm. And I want us to focus on that. What can we do to make this happen? I think this is, you know, this council and the council before this one was committed to economic development in this community. And, you know, we have to build a platform. This is a modern day economic development engine. You know, when you start hearing it's number so-and-so in the community and number so-and-so in the world, to me, that says it's proven, or it's proving itself. I really hope that we continue to push and drive this opportunity, and I trust that you and your staff and the county staff and everybody is looking at all angles and everything that we need to do to make this happen. But I personally, as a council member in this for the City of Globe, I say, what can we do to make this happen? And you have my solid support in seeing this through. I think this is an absolutely great opportunity for this community to start that economic engine that we've always been talking about.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, Freddie. Yeah, great presentation, Linda. I think it's hard to understand, you know, the community doesn't, because it's a lot of parts involved with it. But, you know, a lot has been done, and I've been to most of them, but a lot has been done to the facilitation, the grants, and all this just to get it set, just to get the base set. And this is reachable if we can do it. And as you go through meetings or go places throughout the state, the City of Globe, there's chatter about what we're doing here in Globe. It really is. And I think we're at the beginning of something that's really going to take off, not only for Globe, but for our community. And I think, like what Freddie said, I think we need to really focus on trying to make this happen and make sure that we follow it through. Because it is an amazing program. And if we can make it work and be one of the leading rural communities in Arizona to get this done, it would be amazing for us.
Thank you. We are receiving amazing support, not just from our local stakeholders, but statewide. You know, having met Jenny Poon and her vice president at a rural policy forum that was in Wickenburg last year, that was the catalyst that brought us to this point. You know, those relationships are so important, and nurturing those and those who they may know that can bring resources to the table. You know, we applied again with Gila County. We were a partner on the grant for all of the computers and the charging stations and the printers and a plotter and all the, you know, all the fun stuff that we need to put into a space like this to make it attractive for the type of users that we hope to attract into here. So, you know, again, I'm chasing every avenue because I want to take a look at every opportunity for getting this huge lift off the ground through grants and other partnerships before we enter our budget season. So I'm very mindful of that.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, so Linda, I mean, this is that transitional location from people who are working out of their office, at their home, in their garage, or in their bedroom, but before they can afford a building or full blown, and so they come into this and they have all the trappings they need with an office space that they can make that transition, plus get the skill training.
Right. And not only that, because there are now careers that you will never need an office space to conduct business. And so that that type of a workforce typically doesn't live in Globe, Miami, but we want them to live in Globe, Miami because we're an amazing community. And in fact, that was kind of what led to this point, talking to he is the IT manager within Cahoots. His name is Matt Rencher, after our Matt Rencher. And he's saying what he's finding in this community is there people who are utilizing co-work spaces, they're kind of, they don't want to live in an urban area. They want to work hard, hustle, make some money, but they want to take advantage of a rural lifestyle and areas that have amazing recreation. And that's exactly what we have. So yes, to Councilman Rios's point, this is an opportunity that we cannot let pass us by, because we check every box for this type of a workforce and the kind of community that they want to be a part of. And I think it would be exciting for them to be part of a startup like this. Cahoots is not partnering with another rural community. This is an offer that is on the table only to the City of Globe, and they've made that commitment to us. So that they said, we're with you. We understand that you don't have deep pockets, and that's a big lift. $35,000 is a lot of money, and that we're with you until you can get the grant funding to be our partner. And that's actually a very discounted rate. That rate for that type of franchise is $65,000.
I don't think it's expensive for what you're getting out of it. If it's one time, I think it's worth it.
Great value.
Yeah.
More than worth it.
I just want to make a few comments. I had the privilege of sitting on the Arizona Commerce Authority Rural Development, Business Development, and I just got asked to be back on it again. But a lot of the communities that we compete for with businesses, you're trying to bring in somebody that employs 200 people. These cities are offering tremendous incentives for these people to bring in their businesses, which we can't do that. That's not even possible for us. But when you look at the statistics, small businesses actually employ more people, and you can grow them faster. And so with giving them a leg up to help them make smart decisions, to help make sure that they're prepared to go out and start their businesses, I think that puts us on the right track. And I think that this is really going to be beneficial to Globe and the surrounding area.
Thank you.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, I think the other thing that I don't know if Linda touched on it as much, but I think the mines have their eyes on this. The mines have a lot of professionals that come up here and operate on limited, short-term but full-time projects, engineers and geologists that come up, and they're probably working out of hotel rooms or trying to find a place over, by the smelter or something like that. And then every time we talk to the mines, their little light bulbs go off and go. All their subcontractors can come plant themselves, and these people may like Globe, fall in love as we all have, and come back here, and so I think even those people who have successful businesses may end up getting relocating or getting a branch here in an affordable method because of this. So it's got a lot of possibilities. I'm very excited.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Any questions?
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Linda. And next we have an update to council regarding the Tonto Basin tragedy and regional public safety response. And Chief Robinson?
Mr. Mayor, I put this on the very end of the late on the agenda just because I knew this is something that I think we've been involved with and part of our community. I wanted to get you a chance to find out as much as you can. Chief Robinson's been involved, Mayor, I know you've been involved, but at least a chance to get a little bit more detail and ask those questions that I know you have.
Mr. Mayor, council members, I'm a little under the weather, so if I pause to cough or something, I apologize. But as far as an update with our efforts and what we've been involved in, both operationally and logistically, to support the operation down in Tonto Basin, at about 4:13 p.m. on Friday, we received a request from Tonto Basin Fire to provide technical rescue crew for the swift water rescue that they had become involved in. A total of 9 personnel from the area responded initially to the call. We had a total of 5 personnel that ultimately responded down to Tonto Basin, led by Captain Cormack, and then overseeing at least the technical portion of it by firefighter Michael Peterson, who's our main technical rescue person and an instructor for the state. They responded to the scene. When they arrived, they were briefed by the incident commander. They confirmed that they had the 4 individuals that were trapped on the island. They had an aircraft responding to that and made the determination that the best course of action was probably to utilize the aircraft if possible to effect that rescue, which was done successfully. They were able to remove the four individuals, 3 children and an adult, from the island. They determined that they had three children that were missing as a result of that. At that point, firefighter Peterson, as well as a member of Tonto Rim Search and Rescue, were taken up in the helicopter. It was Maricopa County's Fox 1 helicopter. They were taken up. Their goal was to not only search with Spotlight and IR for any potential victims that they could locate, but to also see if they could create a feasible plan for a technical rescue operation to access the truck. Based on those efforts, the incident commander, following their review, made the determination to suspend operations at that point. There are a ton of factors that go into any rescue involving water. Like Councilman Rios mentioned, as soon as you start moving water in a channel, the hazards become tremendous with debris flows, with just the water itself, with hydraulics and how that works. There's so many factors that are involved in the decision-making process, and the risk is pretty tremendous when we start placing personnel out into those situations. And without the confirmed rescue of the 4 and unconfirmed locations of the others, that decision was made. Since that point, we have been involved in assisting both with logistics and in operations, with personnel in the search. Obviously, everybody's aware of the search effort that's gone on down there, and the number of people that have been involved in that, both from the Sheriff's Office search and rescue side as well as community members that have gone in. Those search efforts are often implemented, especially early on in the incident, at some significant peril to those people that are doing it, particularly those people that operate close to the water. There's just there's so much potential for a negative impact to occur during those type of things, but they've been diligently searching. We were down, myself and Captain Cormack were down Sunday along with Captain Bracamonte, supporting with the dog. We were involved with, we tied in with both groups and were involved in searching. I would estimate there were probably on Sunday somewhere in the neighborhood of 500 people searching. It is a large stretch. There's a lot of debris piles. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that. On Monday, we again sent Captain Bracamonte down for the entire day. They spent the full day from sunup to sundown, working with the dogs, both a cadaver dog from the Payson area, as well as Canine Evo, and then search teams to work to work methodically from pile to pile of debris, just looking for any type of indication from the dogs that might indicate the presence of human remains within those piles. They continue to find articles of clothing confirmed to be part of the victims. They announced this evening as part of the news broadcast that they found another article of clothing. However, they still have been unable to locate Willa to this point. We've supported logistically with food to try and make sure those individuals that are out there working hard are taken care of. And I know the mayor's work to provide some support as well along those lines, and I know those efforts are greatly appreciated by everybody that's out there. To this point, you know, I didn't receive a briefing today, and so the information I had was what was available based on media broadcasts as far as today's operations went.
Questions or comments?
Thank you so much.
And Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask Chief Walters to talk about, he's been assisting on his end. So just a quick recap of his efforts, the police department's efforts.
Chief, thank your crew and for their initial response and for continued support out there. You know, that's really what those people want to see. You know, they need to see that initial response, and people don't understand when you call 911 that you're going to get that. And we're fortunate to have so many people certified in certain things like swift water and technical rescue that we're able to help these families, not only in our community, but our surrounding communities. And thank them very much.
And I will definitely pass that on. You know, I know it's always a struggle when you get there and you can't find, you know, you're not able to do what you would like to do, but you know, they continue to train for it, continue to try and prepare, and so that they're ready for the next one that comes along.
Thank you.
Evening, Mayor and Council. Again, for the police department's part, we're not search and rescue certified or some of the technical stuff that FD is, and so in discussions with Under Sheriff Johnny Sanchez, him and I have talked over the last several days. We're in preparation. If this is more prolonged, our role is going to be stepping up and covering calls for service in the greater Cobra Valley area and for Gila County. So we're putting things in place to make sure that we're prepared to meet that if at such time is requested upon us, but that's where we're at right now.
Mayor.
Fernando?
So I got a call from Carmen because she was out working and trying to figure out what could be done, and I referred her to you, but I think I didn't realize how much we were doing by helping covering the county and responding to attempt to rescue. So I just think it's good to see that the city's involved in doing their part. So thank you.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, this is a community, this is a tight-knit community, and no one asks questions about jurisdictional boundaries or anything. When there's a need, we go, and that's the way it should be.
Thank you very much. So next we go to the consent calendar, and matters listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. Public hearing items are designated with an asterisk. Prior to consideration of the consent agenda, the mayor will ask whether any member of the public wishes to remove a public hearing item for separate considerations. Members of the council and or staff may remove any item for separate consideration. So we have item A, consideration of waiver of section 2-4-10 prior discussion rule to allow action on the balance of the consent agenda. Accounts payable, $362,650.31. Consideration of approval of council minutes, August 27, 2019, council minutes. Consideration of the 2020 Globe City Council meeting calendar. Consideration of agreements and purchases of less than $25,000. Consideration of the current building permits. Discussion and possible approval of revised and enhanced bid schedule to the Apache Underground Contract Number CA-2019-00227, previously approved by council. Consideration to approve the fiscal year 18-19 fourth quarter distribution of bed tax fund in the amount of $11,261.03 to the Cooper Valley Center for the Arts to be paid out of account 10-51-51920. Consideration to approve the fiscal year 1920 first quarter distribution of bed tax funds in the amount of $6,916.88 to the Gila County Historical Society from account 10-51-51925. And consideration to approve the fiscal year 1920 first quarter distribution of bed tax fund in the amount of $9,222.51 to the Globe Downtown Association from account number 10-51-51915. Do we have anybody from the audience, from the staff, or the council wanting to remove any of these items?
Mr. Mayor, can I remove accounts payable A1?
A1, okay. And we also have a request to table item G.
G, yes.
And move it forward for additional information in a future council meeting.
Yeah, so you table that, and then we will have to deal with it, and we'll bring it back again.
Okay.
Question, Mr. Mayor.
Mike?
Item G, that's the one that was pulled from the agenda last meeting too, also?
Correct. And I don't think, we thought with the wrapping up all the information, we thought we had it ready on the agenda, but we didn't get, Jerry, was it signatures that we've got?
That's fine. As long as I realize, I thought we tabled this once before.
Yeah.
Okay.
We weren't comfortable with some of the information we sent to council. So rather than stand up there and explain it, I pulled it.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I needed to know.
Okay. And Mr. Mayor, I don't know if anybody want to talk about any of the updates on the bed tax organizations. I don't know if time permits to pull those or have any updates from the sponsors or not.
No, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Okay.
Go Center.
I would make a motion that we approve the consent agenda minus A1 and item G.
Second.
Okay, we have motion for approval of the consent minus A1 and tabling of item G. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Motion passed. So we'll go back to item A1, accounts payable. Fernando?
Just a real quick question, because it got, we made a payment to, or making a payment to Variety Paint and Body. Who's that? And where are they?
Variety Paint and Body?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was.
Because I pay for a lot of body shops, and I've never heard of that one.
Which one is it?
$500. It's right here on the.
Yeah.
It's on the agenda.
Yeah. Doesn't give an explanation on it.
No, and Jeannie is not here tonight, and I Paint and Body, I imagine it would be a Brandon thing, but he is not here tonight, or he has left. And so I would be happy to follow up with council and find out who Variety Paint and Body is and why we paid them. I don't see it right off the bat how much we paid them.
Well, we have 4 local body shops, and so it would make sense to me if the vehicle was somewhere else and we had to pay for something, but I would rather see one of the names that I recognize than one from God knows where.
Well, and like I said, I hate to even hazard a comment. I mean, everything over 1,000, we get 3 bids. It's the lowest bid, but I don't know the details. If it's council's pleasure, I'd be happy to follow up.
No, well, I'm okay with paying it. I just wanted to find out more.
No, if the point is why, what are we doing to shop local and to use local vendors, I'd be happy to come back and address that in council either by email or an agenda item.
Are we good with that?
Mm-hmm.
We're okay paying the bill still or waiting?
No, I'm okay paying the bill. I'll move to pay the accounts payable.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pay accounts payable. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Motion passed. We have new business, discussion and consideration of Resolution 1800, a resolution to abandon right-of-way on the 400 block of Oak Street to Sal Casillas, Chris Colopy. And we have Resolution 1800. Shelley, can you read that, please?
Yeah. You read the resolution.
Resolution number 1800, a resolution of the mayor and council of the city of Globe, county of Gila, state of Arizona, abandoning right-of-way generally located on the 400 block of East Street. Is council pleased with that reading?
Yes.
Yes.
We voted on the. Did we vote on the?
Yes.
Okay.
Mayor, members of council, I'm not Chris Colopy,
I was
but
gonna say, you look like Jerry Burns.
but he passed this off to me.
Oh.
It's one of the things that I've been working on. We have some issues on Oak Street and Devereaux, and in the process of trying to straighten those issues out, we came across an abandonment that evidently was done by council by vote rather than resolution, and was never recorded at the county. So we're coming back to you to straighten that out before I can go fix the next problem. So that's what it's all about. Sal has already built his building, and we've council. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chris. Council voted on abandoning it, but it never was recorded. It never was passed by resolution. So that's what we're here to do tonight. Straighten it out.
Mary, I'd make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Wait, do we have to waive a rule?
Yeah, that will that be an waive the rules, or can we move it to the next meeting?
So I would like to waive the rules on this.
You want to add that to your motion?
Yes, to waive the rules.
Okay.
Second again.
We have a motion and a second for approval of item A and waiving of the rules. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Motion passed. Thank you, Jerry. Next, we have discussion and consideration of a license agreement between the City of Globe and LG Concepts LLC DBA Evolve Adventure Rentals, allowing Evolve to operate a mobile sports and equipment rentals business from time to time within the Old Dominion parking lot in downtown Globe at the northwest corner of Broad Street and Sycamore. Chris.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. We had a business license application about a mobile sports equipment rental business. Looked like a pretty good thing. They got a cool looking trailer. We even have the applicants in the audience tonight. Where this mobile business would work if it was anywhere else in the city on private property, they would just need simple permission. Well, when you're dealing with the government, it's not simple. So we had to create a license agreement that would allow them to operate on the city-owned parking lot and put some restrictions. They can't build stuff there or anything like that, and they can't use the entire parking lots up to 3 spaces. So this is what we came to council with to see if this is something that council would like to do.
And Mr. Mayor, I do believe the applicant is here, and if you would like to hear from the applicant about the type of business and how he tends to utilize the parking lot and how that fits into his business.
I think we would. I think we'd like to hear about it and the time frames and what the plan is in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. So this is
Your name is?
my name's Daryl Griffin.
Okay, thank you.
And so this is a mobile e-bike rental business currently. We will also be providing SUP boards, which are stand-up paddle boards, and kayaks in the spring. Basically, we'll likely be using at this point in time, it's only part-time. I have a full-time job. It's kind of just to promote downtown and promote biking and cycling and promote local businesses. But we'll be operating Friday through Sunday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. is what we're looking at this point in time. And the three parking spots, typically we probably only take up 1, possibly 2 parking spots. And if the parking lot's overly crowded, then we just readjust. We're an online business. We're here to bring in outside people into our community, give them something fun and exciting to do, and really just shop local. We also pay taxes on each one of those bikes that we do rent, and so whatever a 2-hour rental, will bring in 8.9% of that 2-hour rental cost for the city as well. I hope that the parking lot, when I've seen it during the weekends, wasn't overly populated at all, and I hope to add more parking spots taken to that location, specifically to shop downtown, to promote local business, and to enjoy our community and learn what our community is about, and then really kind of morph into more of what my passion is, which is like mountain biking, downhill mountain biking. These bikes are safe. These bikes have lights. These bikes are more just for tourists, people who want to go antiquing, people who want to grab a coffee, people who want to cruise the Mine Park. They're safe. They're cool. They're fat tire. That's what this is about. And so that's what we're looking at this point in time.
Fernando.
How does the bike work? So do you need a mobile device in order to engage it, kind of like the scooter things, or?
No, you don't. So essentially, they would book it online. They'd book the date, the time. Obviously, they could only book Friday through Saturday or through Sunday. We will black out the dates that we are not available, which will be currently Monday through Thursday, and depending on weather, we would black out those dates as well. But they just go online, book the bike. I basically meet them down there, show them how to operate the bike properly, safely. We even had a couple of surprising people ride them in the rain that I was very pleased to see jump on those and who are a big part of our community. So yeah, you put in a key, you basically select the mode you want, and you could either turn the throttle and go, and that'll get you going, and then pedal to assist you at the different levels. So yeah, no online. You don't need your phone to activate it.
Okay.
I'm not going to just leave them out. They're not going to be littering the area. The trailer's self-contained, very professional looking, very clean. There will be no garbage cans or any funky stuff going on. It's just as clean as it could get, just to have fun.
Cool. Couple of questions. How many bikes are you going to have?
Currently, I have 6 bikes. Yep.
Okay. The other thing is, what about when there's activities like, the Fiesta uses the parking lot, and there's another, will you be?
In that case, it's restricted from all activity, any other parking. So a special event permit, we would block that off, and he would not have access to it during that.
Okay, and you're okay with that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What about? Would he be able to set up somewhere else? Or
what work you do on private property is yours. Where is Chris? Does this restrict it to Old Dominion, or is it any?
This license agreement restricts it to Old Dominion.
Yeah, so it would be.
If he wants to go to a piece of private property, a block down.
Yeah. What about like over there by, the teepee? There's that parking area there. If we were having an event at the, like the Fiesta, would they?
Going to that other city? That's not
I don't know. Of course, the library might not want them over there either, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't. I'm just asking. I don't know.
This license agreement
wouldn't allow that. Okay. Because it might be a good draw if people are coming and then they had this opportunity available. But if it's not doable, it's not doable, I guess.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, Daryl, why did you select? You selected this location, the Old Dominion parking lot.
Yeah, it's just kind of right next to the Vita and some of the eateries, and very close to the Mine Park. They could go to the Mine Park if they want, the Old Dominion Mine Park. They could go to the community center, Beshbagawa, do a tour there. They could even go up to the Pinals if they like. Honestly, if I had to meet somebody somewhere else and they called me, I can change the location on the website. So if it was private property, then so be it.
No, it's fine with me. I mean, I just,
Shirley?
I have a couple questions. I'm not against this in any way. I think any business we bring into downtown is great. But I have some concerns. One is the parking issue, because just several weeks ago, I sat up here and said, you know, we need to address this problem we have with parking in our community, because I hear from these businesses downtown, there is a huge lack of parking. It's not constant all the time, but I believe on Fridays it is.
Yeah, I
think
believe
Friday
on-
might be a problem.
I believe so.
And one almost across the street and down a little, without saying any names, is always having parking issues. So this 1, 2, 3 spaces, that's fine. What I say is, as we're looking at the broad picture of, we as council are allowing this, now what happens when 4 more businesses come along and say, well, they're over there on the city lot, we want a parking space or 2 or 3 as well. So maybe this isn't so much a question directed to you, but how do we deal with that? Because that would be a good problem if it happens. Please let it happen.
Right, exactly.
But we are the body that has to say yay or nay, and then how do we say nay to 3 more people that come along? I don't want to be in that position.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, Councilwoman Giles, I do believe, again, this is a good problem to have. If we had more vendors coming in offering, you know, fun things to do downtown Broad Street, I think that would be great. One of the conversations we had staff level wise, since this is kind of the starting point of this, is putting in place some type of percentage of parking, because it may be this parking lot, maybe the parking lot behind the huddle, maybe, you know, the parking lot OD, where you could allow so many slots to be open, you know, 10% during the weekdays, 20% during the weekends, and first come, first serve, and figure out a way so that whoever wanted to compete for those slots, we could do that, make sure that they were you know, available, and if it's full, it's full, you know. So if he gets a bunch of competitors and they want to bring down scooters or whatever, we could make that work. But we could make sure that we put an ultimate cap on how many parking lot slots are allowed to be taken up by vendors, and just pass that. Go ahead.
Because we do have all these other parking lots, and if that particular one is being used, I think in a motion you could say, change the Old Dominion parking lot to any city parking lot. Yeah. And then that would open this up to where he's not restricted to be there. If there's Cinco de Mayo going on, he can move over to
Silver Belt or behind.
else,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
being the weekend, he could probably use it.
But wouldn't he, as if you had a Cinco de Mayo event going on or whatever,
it'd be close.
Yeah, wouldn't he be allowed to be a vendor and purchase a vendor area, and that would be a big attraction to him. So he would be allowed anywhere as a vendor.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, kind of the thought process when we started talking about this is like food trucks. Okay, you know, we've never had a food truck independent. It's always been part of a special event. The special event guarantees the insurance through that process. This was a vendor that wanted to be on public property and wasn't doing a special event permit, and so that's why we had this agreement to get insurance. But yeah, if Cinco de Mayo or Apache G wants to include him, they make a deal. He gets insurance to the primary special event, and that's all free to go, just like we do with the food trucks on on Oak Street, just north of, or just to the right of Broad Street. So a lot of possibilities.
Ready? Thank you. I think this is a pretty good idea. It brings entertainment to downtown and the surrounding areas. It provides a type of entertainment for those people that choose to use it. And I get what Councilman Giles is saying. What if? But I think these are problems that we'll have to deal with if it happens.
No.
And I'm not prepared to kill it because of what if. I would like to see it prosper, and maybe it energizes others to do something similar. And now our problem is, well, let's create a whole parking area or
Vendors.
for vendors.
Yeah.
And now we have, you started this, and you get to wear the great big hat that started the whole thing,
Wear the
right? So obviously these are things that we have to deal with if they happen, but I'm not prepared to say no because what if? Okay. So I support it. Mike?
First of all, I want to welcome you to the community.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate everything. And I always get the comments in town, there's nothing to do for our family and kids. We have to go to the valley. So here's another reason why we can stay here and entertain here in Globe. So thank you and welcome to our community. I
Thank you very
appreciate
much.
it.
Good deal.
And if you do have a problem with 3 parking spaces or whatever, we can put you anywhere.
I'm not going to get in fights with anybody. I'm here to promote downtown. So yeah. Well,
I think this is awesome. So
Good idea.
if you guys could allow the added just anywhere language,
Yeah,
that would help.
Yeah, I
us
think
out.
that's
One of
smart.
location.
Just make it any city parking lot.
Do you have a comment?
Mm-hmm.
I as well want to welcome you to the community, and I think this is an awesome concept, and it's going to be great for downtown. And I would recommend doing the verbiage of anywhere he can park. And to your point, Councilman Rios, is that you are correct in that this isn't a right now problem, but it could be a good problem to have in the future.
Sure.
But I would like to instruct staff to start looking at that, what could be the future.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that as this body, we should be looking into the future, but handling right now issues. And, I mean, so figuring out where this parking could be. I mean, we already know we have a parking issue. So figuring out where these vendors could go if this problem does happen.
And just a comment also, I was able to attend your grand opening, or your opening in the rain.
Thank you, Mayor.
It was cold and rainy, but anyway, it was neat to see those bikes, and I think that's something that our community really needs. And I'm a kayaker, so I think kayaking would attract outside people to be able to come to the community, not have to carry their kayak, but come here, rent one, and go out to the lakes and do different things, but also bring them back to shop and stay in our motels and eat in our restaurants. I think it's a great idea if we write the verbiage at any parking lot, but only a percentage of the parking lot can be utilized for that.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, what I'd like to do is three things. Number one, we can adjust the verbiage to any city parking lot. We want to make sure we exclude any public parking. We don't want to say any public parking because I don't see this happening in slotted parking in front of United Jewelry or something like that, because that wouldn't go well. And so that's number one.
Let's really not do that.
Yeah, no, we don't want to do that. Then number two, I think we don't need to put the percentage into his contract, but I would like to bring back a proposal for some type, and I'll have to get with the attorney on what type of limitations we can put on for additional vendors. And so it's not led to him. Each contract would be standard, but additional vendors would what we want to do, so that if we have to say, available, maybe we do I'll have to look at this real quick, but in dedicated public parking, and then we can come back and dedicate that. But so I'll have to work out the verbiage, and hopefully while you guys are talking about this last part, I'll see if I can get some language here. The last part is the applicant is asking to waive the rules so he can get going, coming up with the next couple of weekends with all the events going on. And so it's not, like I say, I know this is something new and a lot of discussion, but I didn't realize for him to get up and running in time for our 2 weekends.
That's right.
I do have one question for, I guess, be a you question, Paul, is is this going to be an issue for him to have these bikes in the roadway and on the sidewalk? I mean, we don't have a designated bike area for bikes to.
Well, then they would have to operate as cars and follow the rules of the road. And Dale, I don't know. I mean, I guess just like any other bicycle, we don't have dedicated parking, so you either have to stay on the right-hand curb, go with the flow of traffic, stay off the sidewalk. You know, Dale, these are motorized bikes?
They're electrically.
Oh, they're electric.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
that's
not motorized. They're considered they're non-licensed vehicles. So even though they do have a front light, a brake light, you could be under 16 and operate this. Governor Doug Ducey passed a House bill, I think it's 2262, that classifies these as a class 2 or below bike. It's a regular bike, but it does have, and it's under 20 miles per hour, but it does have power to it to help assist you up hills, especially in this community.
And they do travel 20 miles an hour then, right?
They do not.
They don't travel.
If I'm going down 4th Street, I will go faster than 20 miles per hour, Mayor, but not by the motor, yes.
And Dale, do you want to talk about under what instances you would pull one of these things over?
These, Mayor and Council, these would have to follow under the same guidelines as any bicyclist within the community. We don't have designated bike lanes and things like that, so they would follow the rules of the road going forward. I would like, as we move forward with this project, that we clearly define the interaction with where this gentleman's going to be during like a special event. So like the Parade of Lights, is it going to be in that designated spot or not, and moving it. And then what the city manager had mentioned earlier, the parking along main thoroughfares is not conducive to this type of activity. This is more of a parking lot type of thing that we want to set up. And we would do the same thing with all vendors. Unless the street is closed and he's one of the vendors, like many of the food trucks for the different events that we do, then we would set it up the exact same way. So just that clarifying language with all of that moving forward, so we're clear on all that. And then I had one question on, and I didn't catch it in the beginning of your presentation, sir, is like if the bike gets abandoned, is there GPS on the bike or something that you can locate the bike or find it, or?
So when they book the bikes online, I collect their credit card information, and then when they come to rent the bike, a driver's license. So without that, they're not allowed. If they abandon the bike, they're going to owe a lot of money off their credit cards. So I don't think that's going to happen. It's not like your typical scooters littering the streets. This is more specialized in essence.
So, Mr. Oh, go ahead.
Any further questions for me? Questions for you?
Thank you.
So, Mr. Mayor, the change on drafted here real quick on the recital, it would be recitals, the city owns pre-title, the certain real property designated city parking lots within the city of Globe, Arizona, Gila County, as more particularly desirable, Exhibit A here too. Well, and we can expand Exhibit A. I think we just cut off the Exhibit A and
Exhibit A is the one that says 3 spots.
these spots. We have to, or we modify. I think we'd have to modify Exhibit A to represent the expanded. Is Exhibit A on here?
It's
Oh.
Exhibit
Yeah,
A
portion.
actually states Old Dominion parking lot, so that.
So we could just list the other 5 or 6 parking lots. Just FYI, we're planning a downtown parking presentation in 2 weeks. But I think for now we could list the Silverbelt parking, just anything we can think of. So it'd be Silverbelt, the behind the huddle. I don't know what they call that.
We can't just name all city parking lots, because that would include...
That include the community center, sir?
Yeah, the community center. Yeah, so let's just do that.
City Hall?
City Hall. Okay.
Include all of that.
So,
and then staff could then go
Yeah,
back.
that would mean Old Dominion. You could use the Old Dominion parking lot,
Staff could then go back
which should be a pretty good place.
And so,
figure out a contract that stipulates what exactly parking lots we own.
so then,
and-
okay, so then all contain city parking lots.
Paul, also on that, if he puts in a request for a full year or whatever this contract goes, then he would be first come, first serve. If there's other vendors, they'd have to shift to other parking spots then?
I think we would include that in a more general ordinance for these types of agreements.
Okay.
And so if, when you're ready to make a motion, I can help you with some stipulations here. So.
Okay, then I move to make a motion.
Okay, and with the stipulation that recital A is modified to read this, the city owns exhibit. I'm sorry. Well, I'm gonna change recital A and exhibit A.
Okay. Recital A and
yes, because recital A talks about 100 block of South Broad. Okay. So to take out the word in recital A, take out the words located in the city. Located in the vicinity of the 100 block of South Broad Street, and replace that with designated city parking lots within the city and then Globe, it would pick up Globe, Arizona. So we're taking out the specific and putting designated city parking lots within the city. And then Exhibit A would be modified to strike all the language there, and we would replace it with all contained city parking lots.
Are we going to specify which ones, or like we just made? Are we going to?
I think if it's a contained city parking lot, I mean, and the word designated, we can undesignate a parking lot if there's one that.
Okay, that's a good question. So
Yeah.
since Adria's here, I thought the idea behind the teepee was a good idea.
So did I.
But I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, we would.
I don't mean the libraries.
I don't mean the
parking lots that are designated already.
The grassy area.
The dirt.
Yeah, the grassy area.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, I do think the grassy area would be a good location as long as we keep the actual spots on the side open.
Yeah.
Because there are lots of times where those fill up too. But there is space and there is area by the TP that's a grassy area. And even our own patrons have sometimes needed to park there for overflow. So I think
so we'll add all
it'd be really cool.
contained city parking lots and the grassy area by the TP.
Yeah.
That's my motion.
You're good with that, Adria?
Yeah.
All right.
Mayor, that's my motion.
So is that's the motion we got?
That would be the motion, the stipulation.
And you want to waive the rules too?
And I'll waive the rules.
Second.
Let's just turn it.
Okay, we have motion as stated and waive the rules for approval. Do we have any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Motion pass.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
And welcome. Good luck.
It works out.
Welcome to community.
So next we have discussion and consideration of an IGA between the City of Globe and the Gila County, giving each jurisdiction the right to permit, inspect, and plan review of the projects within the other's jurisdiction. Chris?
Yeah, this one's, I like this one. So if the county wants to build a building in the United States, their planning department, their building inspectors, they pretty much control their project. If we want to build something outside the city limits, be it a pump station or whatever, we control that. And this is what they want, and it's easier on us. We don't want to have a council meeting or board of supervisors meeting and say, what's going on with that project? Well, we're being held up by the City of Globe, or we're being held up by the county. So that's kind of what the political side out of this is, where this is really a good thing. So, but one of the stipulations is we have to be notified before anything happens, because there's other things that go into building besides how it's erected, the number of parking spaces they're going to have, these sort of things. We have to protect our sewer system, for example. If they're putting in something that cooking facility, maybe for a jail or something like that, we'd want to have a grease trap there. So, not that we would control the thing, we'd just be notified, and discussions could be started for any of these outer things that could happen.
Fernando?
But our ordinances, whatever our building codes require, would be the ones that they would have to follow. So if they had something that was different than us, they would still have to comply with us, and we would have to comply with them. Is that not right?
That's not the way we were going to use our own, comply with our own. But even if you have 2035 IBC building codes and 2003 IBC building codes, there's not a whole lot of difference between the two.
Mr. Mayor, members, council, Councilman Shipley, our understanding is that the county codes are actually more stringent than ours, and they would be building to their more stringent standards, and so that's why we don't feel that would be an issue there.
Well, my concern would be if we adopted something to address a specific need of our own, and then they would come in and say we don't have to comply with that, or we would say we don't have to comply with yours because we're doing our own thing. Well, that would be the only thing I would be worried about.
The thing is we wouldn't know if they're doing something, or they wouldn't know if we're doing something, because we're both handling these projects internally. So other than the notification that the project is going to happen, the specifics in the code that requires an extra nail, or it doesn't require something because of newer codes, I don't see where that would be.
And Mr. Mayor, members, Councilman Shipley, I think we're and Chris, we're dealing with plan review and building inspection, and then I believe they'd be following their code that their plan reviewers are used to, and I think they would want to build it under that standard. I'm not worried that they're going to have substandard standards, but
Chris, my concern would be, what about fire code?
Okay.
How are they going to comply with the fire code?
The very first thing that came up was fire code. And if Gary wants to come up real quick and explain.
I think he's gone already.
He's gone? Okay, anyway, we talked about it. And the State Fire Marshal's Office plan reviews county buildings.
Not in the city.
If it was in
Not in the city, they don't.
If it's
They don't do it in the city.
Well, and then let us research that.
Yeah, they don't do schools. I know we have an agreement for our fire inspector inspects the schools and county buildings. We have, it was like that. They don't come in any other jurisdiction. They'll come in and inspect schools and other stuff, but we do our own.
Okay, Gary told us that the county.
Oh, really? Okay, well, it may have changed. It may have changed.
Well, and
we'll double check them.
Yeah, and this is first read. If we can follow up on that question about the fire, and Councilman Shipley, I'm trying to think of an example.
I'm not trying to. I'm not saying that there is one. I'm just saying if we decided to have we have a specific need within the city of Globe that we're concerned about, that we want to address, and we put something out there to say we're not allowing this or we're requiring this. I just don't want that to be like poo-pooed because we don't have to comply.
I'm racking I'm thinking like we have to worry about roof loads.
I do insurance, and all I do is contracts. Okay, and if it's not in the contract and it's not in writing, it does not exist. And that's all I'm saying, is there should be some kind of carve out to say that you have to comply with the codes of where you're building, period. So if we're going to build in the county and the county wants to do it a certain way, then we got to do it their way. We can use our guys, we can use our own resources, but we should still have to comply with the building codes that apply to that jurisdiction.
Okay, so you're talking specific to building codes, not our city code or the county
zoning codes or
well,
parking.
I don't know what I'm just saying that I think that they should comply.
This only deals with the building codes and their building.
Okay, so we want no more grease traps, period. Okay, so now they want to put a grease trap in.
That has nothing to do with building codes.
Okay, but that's what my point is if we wanted something not to happen, I would not want them to say, well, we don't have to follow your rules, or us to tell them we don't have to follow your rules.
We don't have to allow them to hook into the sewer.
Well, okay.
But, and so I'm trying to think of what in their adopted building codes would be counter to what
I don't know. I'm just saying that what harm would it do to put it in the agreement that they would have to comply with the building codes of that jurisdiction?
I think the fact that all of their inspectors and their standards, when they go out to bid, they're doing them countywide to their standards. I mean, they'd have to learn ours, they'd have to backdate the stuff.
Well, you said there's no difference.
No,
little difference.
I think theirs are more modern, and ours, I don't think ours is 2003. I think they're a newer version, and so there's a lot more environmental standards and water flows and saving energy and things like that.
Mike, you got a question on
Mike, did you?
I was going to ask what the timeline is on this notification process.
I don't know if that was addressed.
I mean,
Is it like, we're going to build Building B on city property starting December 15th? Is that feasible, or do we need 20 days, 30 days?
I don't think it would take a lot of notice.
I mean, if you imagine that, I'm trying to figure out how to, if they're going to do the notification, I would think they would do that as they start the review. But we could pick a time in their process and stipulate that notification before they go to final prints, or before they go. We can figure out to not leave it open-ended and figure out a time where they need to check with us, so we can not let us.
Project's already on the books.
Yeah, how about prior
I think
to
they funded it today.
Yeah. So and I know the version we have here mirrors the previous version that was in place that lapsed. So I'll have to see if we've added that since then. So a couple things to do. Number one, we'll look at modifying the notification as to at what point in their process. Number two, I don't check and see. I mean, I don't think that if we were going to build something in City of Globe, or if we were going to build something in the county, we'd want to build it to our standards. Do we want to make them build it to our? So we want to make, I'm just thinking out loud here. So you're saying that we want to make the county, who I believe has they have a newer standard.
They do.
So
on their building code.
So would we force them to abandon their newer code and go with our older code? Is that what our goal is, to force them back?
No, what I'm saying, I don't know what the future is. If we were to decide to put something of our own requirement and they're not required to even take that in consideration, I don't want that. And I don't know what that would be. I don't know the future, but things change all the time. We didn't have electric bikes before, and now we do.
And so the building codes in our code are very small. They say we adopt 2003 International whatever, and that.
Okay, do they have to follow city code? If we say you can't have this or that in the city, and we're saying you can decide for yourself in the city, is that different?
The grease trap requirements is not in that building code, something outside. You're talking about something in that international code, some type of exception that we would put in.
Okay, so we had a code that said you can't have a metal building, period, on the highway. You were supposed to put a facade on it, make it look attractive.
Do we have that?
No.
Okay.
Did you rescinded it, right?
Right.
Right. Okay.
Okay, but my point is, if we had that and they can do whatever they want, I don't want that. If they're going to put a big building on the highway and we decide that we don't want to have things that look like factories sitting on the highway, then do you see what I'm saying?
And those would be the zoning, not the building code. That would be the zoning code that they would have to comply with, and that's what Chris had talked about: parking lot requirements. And if it was downtown, they'd have to go through historic.
Okay, so they'd have to comply with all zoning.
Yes, it's just the.
So I'm just using the wrong terminology.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
I think what they're trying to get away with is trying, why are they paying the city of Globe for permits and plan reviews when they have their own people to do it?
Yeah, and they
Bottom
have
line.
staff to do it.
Well, and I don't disagree with that. I'm just trying to cover our bases and don't have some unintended happen.
So, but maybe we should go into a little bit more detail that this is strictly limited to those, and carve out the exception of zoning requirements, anything current or future outside the window of this. Maybe just spell it out better in the language. I think is the communication thing, and just so it's crystal clear that it's limited to these two and does not exclude, land floodplain requirements, zoning code requirements, grease traps, and sewer requirements. And Jerry, anything?
Well, the floodplain was a big thing. I think the difference between code and requirements needs to be noted too.
Yeah.
Because like the grease traps are to protect our system, and the floodplain is to protect our citizens within the city to make sure that they get their rates, and then the right-of-way access to our streets and so forth, and the drainage from the properties. That's just requirements. So maybe if we note that somehow in there.
Yeah. I think this is a matter of just spelling this out a little bit better in the document, and making sure, and we'll communicate with the county, make sure that see what they want to offer into there, because they'll have to approve this on the other side. But so with that, does that sound, if we go back, like say, with those stipulations, to bring this back with clarity on what's included, what's excluded, and when it's checked, when it's brought to our
What's the
attention.
timeline of,
timeline.
what's the notification?
Yeah.
Right, notification time too.
Yeah.
Plus, we need to determine the fire code also, because we need to, I think our fire department should be involved with plan reviews and permitting, and not the state fire marshal's office. I think we need to be involved as a fire department also.
Okay.
And so, Mr. Mayor, members of council, I would request a motion to return this back to council once we resolve the issues noted, what's included, what's excluded, fire, and what was the fourth one?
Timeline?
Zoning.
Timeline, yeah.
Timeline, yeah.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion to move this forward with the information to be forwarded to us in the future. Do we have any further discussion? All those in favor signify.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Any I lost my word.
Abstaining.
Thank you.
Heard the gavel.
Yeah, you heard the gavel.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, good conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have consideration and approval of entering an IGA intergovernmental agreement number 120219 between the City of Globe and the Gila County of Criminal Misdemeanor and Criminal Traffic Case Management.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, this is another agreement that has expired and that we are looking to re-up. In the past, and I'm going to see if I can do this without butchering, and I have helpers in the back. I have a gaggle of judges back there. and Judge Reardon's back here too, so he'd be the receiving end of this. What this agreement allows is for the City of Globe to have all criminal misdemeanor and criminal traffic cases handled by the Gila County Justice Court and Justice Reardon's court. And in the details, and this is first read, so if you have any questions or clarifications, if we can't answer them now, we'll do that. But what it allows is us to give those cases to the Justice Court where they can resolve those cases. There is no charge to us, but they do collect the fees that are levied and collected. This is something that for us to do this, the current requirements in courts with bringing prisoners in, transporting them, glass, there's a maze of requirements that the council has had to meet, that the county has had to meet and will continue to meet. And so I believe this is a gigantic cost saving to continue this relationship. And I think everybody's on board with that. And we look at the the, you know, the payment instead of a hardline cost to carry out the service, you know, at a certain cost per month. They're willing to collect those fees. In talking to our contacts at the court, the ability to take all the courses, the cases that the Justice Court handles and figure out which one was cited in Globe and outside of Globe and how much was charged and how much was collected over how many years, and do an accounting of separating that money, it would be very tough. I mean, we still have a budget line item for red light camera fines that may be collected, and we put something out. I can't remember. We put something out, and if they have finally get caught and have to pay it, we have to have a place to put that. So they're managing all those fines, and I think the trade-off of they handle these court cases and get to keep those fines is a trade-off that I think we do well on. So that's my very basic description of this IGA. We need to keep this in place, and Judge Reardon can talk to it. He would be the one administering justice on these criminal misdemeanors and civil traffic, and Judge Perlman is here too. And so I'm going to pick on Judge Perlman first, because you're the one that brought this to light, that this was coming. So.
You're just lightening his workload. It's all right.
Honorable Mayor, Council. I don't have an awful lot to add in this regard, but I think it's important to keep in mind that the city and the county have been performing these independent functions, or these functions independently, I should say, for a number of years without having an IGA. We simply lack the infrastructure here in the city to process criminal cases properly and within the strictures of the Administrative Office of the Courts and the Supreme Court. We don't have our own jail. We don't have a security or a secure method of bringing people who are in custody through our justice system. At council's pleasure, I am able to sit in your council chambers and perform court when we have city court, but we don't have a jury box. And we don't have a secure pathway to move people around in such a way that their security is assured and our security and the citizenry security is also assured. So we've been operating with the city court, my court, handling civil traffic, city code, ordinance issues here. And the Globe Police Department has been citing criminal matters, misdemeanor matters, and criminal traffic matters into the Justice Court for years. That's how it's been functioning. It's been an unspoken handshake deal. It's just been functioning that way. The agreement is pretty brief. It lays out the terms of the agreement. It's pretty specific. I pointed out a couple of minor changes that I thought needed to be made, and I believe that they have been implemented. And so I think it's just documenting the procedure that we've been following all along anyway. That's my 10 cents.
Do you have any comments, Mr. Reardon?
Judge has been diligently, and so it.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Not a whole lot to add to what Judge Perlman had alluded to, other than just a few other items in terms of cost consideration. We deal with indigent legal defense. You know, obviously, if we're going to be seizing somebody's liberty, we have the mechanisms in place to provide them with representation. You alluded to the security measures that the AOC has continued to roll out and the insane costs that seem to be associated with that. For example, we just now put forward, there's a requirement that our benches be bulletproof in light of the current climate as far as court incidents. And so that's going to come at a cost of just under $100,000 for the 3 benches. within the county complex. And we're already within we have a security screening in place, full-time security, armed security. The other items to consider is we also have the ability to provide a language access plan. The Supreme Court has required that, and it used to be, and we're getting to go through that, my court manager's here with me as well. You know, the language line used to be our default, and so we could contact somebody via telephone, but the Supreme Court doesn't feel that that is sufficient, so we are now going to have to budget for, or find money in the budget to locate an interpreter that is certified through the Supreme Court, which is an extremely strenuous process. And there's nobody that's local that I'm aware of as of now, but we do contract and having to bring somebody from the valley. And that's usually at a cost of $75 an hour or thereabout. So just as Judge Perlman indicated, this is what's been going on. I brought a couple of the old IGAs. I don't want to say anything against any of my predecessors. I just know that there was a period of time where the municipal court was co-located, and then, as indicated, it came back. And at that point, nothing was in place from that point forward. And we just wanted to formalize that process. Did you have any questions?
Freddie. Judge Reardon, if you would just kind of educate me a little bit on this. So just based on the charge on an individual, we already know where it's going to go, if it's going to land in city or if it's going to land in your court, right? There's really no communication between you and Judge Perlman saying, I'm going to take this or you take this. It's already a known, based on the charge, we already know where it's going to land.
Correct. So civil traffic, speeding tickets, red light running, no insurance, no those sorts of items within the city limits are going to come to Judge Perlman, and then city ordinances, anything related to that, also Judge Perlman. Anything criminal, assault, domestic violence, theft. I deal with felony stuff too, but that's just for preliminary issues. But it's
DUIs
defined. Yeah, DUI is the major one. So
okay.
And if I might add, when an officer makes a stop and deems that some crime has been committed, there are a series of boxes to the right side. The officer fills in the code, the Arizona Revised Statute Code, the description of that offense, and then there are a couple of boxes there, and those boxes are what drive a case either into Judge Reardon's court or into our court. And the box might be civil traffic. If that's a civil traffic offense, then it might land in our court. If it's a criminal traffic offense, then it would land in Judge Reardon's court. So we don't talk about it. The officers, as the frontline discretion in the enforcement of laws, make those calls as they go, depending on what they see and the circumstances of each case, case by case, minute by minute.
Okay, so no ambiguity. It's clear cut.
And it has been seamlessly functioning.
Since 1999, I think, is the last. I had one from 1997, and then 1999 is the last written record that I'm aware of, at least that we had for our
That's quite a partnership.
Yeah. This has to be brought back then?
Yes, and I would recommend that we bring it back just because there's been some tweaks as we ran up to get it to here. I think we want to run those tweaks back over to the county, make sure they're okay. And we got a kind of a jump start on this. So I would recommend that we pass along next meeting with a final version approved by the county so that we're both passing the same document, because I don't know that they've seen it or had a good chance to look at the tweaks. And then we'll make whatever changes agree to both of us and bring a final version.
We have seen it. We've gone over it. It was, and they deferred to me. It was approved. What was?
So you can waive the rules and do it.
Okay, then make the motion to waive the rules and approve and enter into intergovernmental agreement number 120219 between the City of Globe and Gila County for criminal misdemeanor and criminal traffic case management.
And Mr. Mayor, members, Councilman Leatham, with a stipulation that we include all the last minute adjustments that up to this point in time, just in case.
Relation to.
Yeah. Okay. So in case it didn't get in that specific document. There you go.
Second.
We have a motion and a second and a waiver of the rules for approval. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Motion passed. Thank you very much.
I have
Judge,
one
thank you.
question for the judge. Are you bringing that beard to the Battle of the Beards?
I
It is in 2 Saturdays.
I just got asked that, and I just
All
knocked.
right.
I trimmed it way down. I guess
Saturdays
I
at 12
better.
o'clock.
I guess I better.
We have action items. We have discussion and consideration to add to the paid city holiday schedule as one-time, one-half day off, 4 hours on December 24, 2019, Christmas Eve, and one-half day off, 4 hours on December 31st, 2019, New Year's Eve, to fulfill council's desire to provide an incentive recognition for city employees to be funded out of the budgeted funds set aside in account 10-55-51001, General Fund Admin Salaries and Wages.
So, Mr. Mayor, members of council, I think we discussed this. Did we discuss this in open session or in?
No.
Yeah. E session. Okay. And so the no. So this was our method. This is the 20,000 incentive money that we had put together for our employees that we value, that council values so highly, and what we've asked to do is to allow. Use these funds in order to fund a half day on Christmas Eve, and so people would work until their lunch and then leave, that are on the types of shifts that we when we close down, and a half day on New Year's Eve, so people could work up to their lunch and leave. Anybody who's required to work or is not scheduled to work that day will receive those additional funds in overtime or in additional vacation pay, and they can combine it with if they're
Holiday pay.
holiday. Okay. All right. Thank you. So holiday pay, not vacation pay. Holiday pay. And if they were taking a half day vacation, let's say they had already planned to take the 24th off, and they could reduce that and just take the first 4 hours on their vacation and use the holiday pay. So there's no requirement that they work that morning half day, as long as it's cleared with their supervisor that there's coverage on that. The only limitation on people taking a full day, if we're open, certain offices have to be covered, and so we'd have to do that. And so then the money would be transferred as written in the agenda title. And I think we would make if this were to pass, we would share this with all of staff about the fact that they can now have time to enjoy, to get out that last minute Christmas shopping and get home to get cleaned up for the big party or dinner, and the same with New Year's Eve, have that time. And I think it's a real life benefit that the employees will appreciate, and it fits within the guidelines that we have to stay within.
Questions? Go ahead, Jill.
First of all, Shelley came up with this good
Yes,
idea, and
this
it
is-
was a good
this is-
idea. No, this was because we had to find a way to legally maneuver around to get them a bonus. So that was well thought out.
How was the wheels working?
Well, then it was a good combined effort. It was a good combined effort. But I would like to know, why are we doing this as a one-time only? It says staff recommends council motion approval to add to the paid holiday schedule as one-time only. What is your
Because
thought
the
process?
budget item is a one-time only. If council wanted to include this in the or any version of this as an ongoing thing, we can build it into the budget cycle and include it in as our regular holidays, our adopted holidays.
I would like to see that.
Yeah.
I would like to
So
see that.
that would be
It's negotiable. You negotiate it during the budget.
yeah.
Well,
Okay,
Fernando, go ahead.
I'm confused. So we were talking about figuring out a way to get them a small extra amount of money, but instead of giving an extra amount of money, we're going to give them time. So it's not really a bonus. We're just going to give them paid time off.
Right. A bonus.
So it doesn't change our budget at all because we're paying them anyways if they're working. So we're just going to give them
Well, we're
A whole day off split between 2 different holidays.
We're giving a whole day off split between those 2 holidays, putting that money in to fund that. There'll be some overtime. Anybody who is working that time during the holidays, there'll be some overtime changes on there. Yes.
So that's going to cover the extra expenses because some people will have to work. Okay.
Basically, what we paid in the past is 10 holidays. All we're adding is 11 holidays to the system. And I know it's different than people that work Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. It's different, but we need to make sure we put the correct verbiage in there for public safety, because their schedule is different. It's always been in the. We need to look at that very carefully with public safety. And I know Gary's not here. I don't think Chief is here either. But I know this was a big deal when we started paying holiday pay, and we had to put the verbiage in there for public safety. We need to make sure that that's in there to cover them.
And what we've done and done the math. I mean, and this this is like any other. Chris, do you want to talk about how this covers in holiday? Any normal, just like any other vacation, just like the day after Thanksgiving that people have to work, they're going to get they get that backfilled. And so no, I mean,
This is what, maybe this is in here already. It says employees that will have to work full shifts or are not scheduled will have a paid 8-hour day to take off at their disposal.
Yes.
Is that covered?
Yes.
Well, that is not what covered it. The way it worked in the past is they were paid 8 hours holiday pay no matter what. And I'm only talking the fire department. You get paid whether you work it or not. You get the 8 hours paid holiday. Because of their schedule, you get 8 hours paid holiday.
I believe what we're adding is an additional holiday time. I don't think we're writing them a check that week, writing a cash check to them.
Well, they don't get the time off anyway. You'd have to pay them the 8 hours. I would assume it'd be like any paid holiday.
So
I think we need to look at the verbiage on
rather
that.
than the time, you would rather see them get that extra pay on.
Well,
the
they
check.
can't take the time. They're working 24-hour shifts, or PD's working 10-hour shifts. They have to. They have no
can't just
option.
take 8 hours off.
They have no option.
How do they then?
Because they can't just take 8 hours. Their shift isn't 8 hours. So
the-
they can just take 8 hours off.
All right.
This was something that I went through with Brent when he was here, and we had to go out and seek other verbiage, and I thought it was in our code about it, and I don't know if that was removed out of there, but we need to make sure that verbiage is in there to cover public safety.
I'll tell you, when I worked at the casino had it in their verbiage. It was you got paid whether you worked it or not.
Yep.
It was just automatically entered in as time paid to you.
And I don't fully understand how fire and police work that, and
It's
I can't
different.
answer your question, Mayor.
Yeah, it's different.
Can we not add a line in that says?
I thought we had. I thought in our code we had it in there when I left. There was in there because I went through this with our previous city manager and Brent about the verbiage and paid holidays with public safety because of scheduling, because of the way the scheduling works.
So we can just add it into the motion then that.
Yeah.
But I think both chiefs need to be involved in this, and
well, yeah.
So do you want to bring this back then?
Yeah, let's bring it back.
Well, then we're not gonna have it for this year. We need to have it.
No, we'll have it in time.
We have another meeting next
Yeah,
week, right?
we have a meeting on the 19th.
2 weeks.
2 weeks we have it.
Yeah.
I'll make sure it gets done for this year.
Yeah, because I can't give you.
Let's get it done for this year.
Yeah, and I.
Table it and bring it back to the next meeting.
Okay.
Table it. Motion to table.
Yeah.
Bring it back to.
With clarification of how public safety will be paid. Yep. Okay. Thank you.
We have motion and a second for tabling. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Motion passed. Item B, consideration to approve ordinance number 860, amending the Globe City Code by replacing Article 3.5, purchasing, and Resolution number 1798 for the purpose of adoption by reference.
Okay.
And Shelley, can you read ordinance 860 and Resolution 1798?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Ordinance number 860, an ordinance of the City of Globe, Arizona, amending the Globe City Code by replacing Article 3-5, purchasing of the Globe City Code, thereto adopting such ordinance by reference, repealing any and all other ordinances and parts of ordinances in conflict therewith. Resolution number 1798, a resolution of the mayor and council of the city of Globe, Arizona, declaring as a public record that certain documents filed with the city clerk and amending Chapter 3 of the Globe City Code and replacing Article 3-5, purchasing for the purpose of adoption by reference. Is council pleased with the reading?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, in the time that we talked about this 2 weeks ago and now, the only thing we have done, we have gone through, and there are a couple of key items I want to make sure that we had covered in there. They were included. There's no changes to the final code. There was no direction for changes. And if passed tonight, we'll have a countdown calendar for January 3rd. Because this will take effect in 30 days, and there'll be a lot of happy directors.
So you don't want to move this forward to the next meeting? You want to approve it?
No, we want to move it. This is on final action, so we can approve this tonight. Yeah, this one's ready to go.
We have a motion for approval on it?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for approval of item B. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Item C, discussion and possible approval of amendment number 1, IGA 18-0007177-1 for contract number P001-2018-003449 with the Arizona Department of Transportation need to address an unintended change to the scope of work due to the collapse of the box culvert, which the city's responsibility would increase $3,555 in shared construction costs from general fund admin contingency account 10-55-53000, allowing FHWA funding to increase up to $58,813.26.
Move to approve. Mr. Mayor, members of council, this has been a long process. It's been a long process. You know, we started this project out with the project coming in over budget. We transferred money out of design into this. The city also put an additional $16,000 into this to make sure it happened. And then we come up with a broom that went through a box culvert that wasn't the contractor's fault. So it's ours for it's just dilapidated. So here's what's happening at this point. I went back to CAG, went back to the tip. There was $62,000 left in it. Rick Powers and I made an appeal to ask for that $62,000. And I cried a little bit, to be real honest with you, but we got the $62,000, didn't we, Rick? And it just took a long time to get the IGA to this point. Is $62,000 going to take care of it? Originally, I would have said no. I would have said it would have taken closer to 85. But now the Federal Highway has stepped in and they said, we are only going to fund this if you fix the part that's broke, not the whole thing. Which is what Rick and I wanted to do from the very beginning. Rick even drew a design up on it. But the engineers wouldn't stamp it. So the Federal Highway said, if they won't stamp it, then get new engineers. And so that's kind of where we're at on this. The design for this is going to be about $16,000. They're estimating 14, but I give them a little bit of contingency there. And I figure the construction costs on this is going to be right at 50. So I'm hoping that we get by with not putting much money into this. But we'll have to get the design and then go back to the contractor. And, my thought is if we get a design that's completely outrageous and it costs us too much, then we've always got the option to pull out and do the job ourselves. And we can probably fix it for about $40,000. So, but we won't be able to use this 62. This is our backup money. So I believe that we go ahead and here's what happens. If we put the 3555 up as our part of the 62,000. We don't use it, they send it back to us. So it's it took Rick and I almost 3 months to get it here, didn't we? So that's why the barricades has been out there. We want to get this fixed, but we can't do anything until we get money. We've only got 9,000 left in the contingency. They want 14,000 minimum to design it, so we're stagnated until you guys say yay. So that's where we're at.
I move that we approve this as presented, as stated.
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second for approval. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Motion passed. Thank you, Jerry. Or you're still up?
Yep.
Discussion and direction to staff to move forward with the advertisement for requests for statements of qualifications for roadway and bridge design for the replacement of Upper Pinal Creek Bridge number 8603 Connie's Bridge to be initially funded out of account number 21-80-52201 CIP Pinal Creek Bridge.
So, Mayor and Council, we're ready to move forward to hire an engineer to start design on this. The documents you received is all the specifications and stuff required for us not to design the bridge, not to build the bridge, to design it. Just to design it. Rick worked a long time on this, putting it together. This is his brainchild, so I've asked him to show up here and go through the process with you. But basically, we're asking permission to go out and advertise through the RSOQ process for a design engineer or design firm to come in and help us get started with the Connie's Bridge. And we will have I think maybe if you step forward, Rick, you can go ahead and walk through the process. And but this motion would be just to go out to bid, or go out to advertise, rather.
Okay, thank you, Jerry. Honorable mayors and member of the council, we started this process a long time ago. Jerry mentioned on the other project the time it took to get these things in place. This one too took a long process. We had a report that was done back in 2016 when I was with the company Jacobs that analyzed 7 of your deficient bridges that you have in the community. So this is just the first of many that need to be repaired in the city. And we're looking at alternatives for funding for some of those other bridges. But this has been a long process to get to this point. We're excited to get this thing finally started. This report identified the Upper Pinal Creek Bridge, or the Connie's Bridge as it's locally known, for replacement or repair. What we did was a cost-benefit analysis and a life cycle cost analysis for that bridge, and it was determined that replacement was the best alternative. We could have done some repairs and maybe got 10 more years out of it, but by replacing it, we extend the life, and it's going to be a better investment for the community. And as I've stated in your packet there, through the efforts of Senator Pratt and David Cook and I think Steve Stratton, Jerry, Paul, and several others that lobbied, and the mayor that lobbied down at the legislature, that you were successful in getting the funding for this. So the good news is we have the funding to move forward with not only the design, but also the construction. So that leads to this quick, I know it's been a long evening, so I'll go through this flow chart really quick. As you can see on your screens there, there's basically, we're looking at 3 major phases of this process. And the way we've structured the RSOQ is that there'll be 2 phases, what we call a scoping phase, where the consultant will go out and they'll do extensive, as you can see in that blue box there, they'll do extensive public and stakeholder input. There'll be plenty of opportunity for the council to provide input and find out what your needs are for that particular bridge. The community will also have an opportunity, once we've come up with a selected alternative. We'll be looking at environmental considerations, utilities. Obviously, the biggest player is going to be the railroad, because there'll be a new railroad crossing involved. So it's a lot of coordination. That's why that's so thick, is there's a lot of things we have to look at as part of the process of getting this thing designed and eventually built. But the scoping process is vital in that it will give us the framework of what we need to do the designs. So we don't have, we have some ideas of what it could look like, but we're basically wanting to hire the company that's successful to come up with the best solution of what type of bridge, how wide should it be? Should it be on a curve? Should it be at a skew angle? How should it be configured? What's the best way to construct this thing for best operational safety and for the flow of the creek there? So those things will all be looked at under the scoping phase. So what the final outcome of that scoping phase will be was this little orange box there, the final feasibility report, and that will include a bridge selection report, which I said earlier would determine the type and the size and the configuration of the bridge structure, but it would also determine the configuration of the railroad crossing, the grades or the slope of the road, the tie-ins at the intersections, driveways, and all those sorts of things. So that's what will determine what will actually be built. So at that point, what will happen is we'll come to the council and get approval to proceed to phase 2 of the RSOQ document there, which is the actual design phase. So that will be authorizing, this is what we're going to build, move forward and develop the final construction plans and documents in order to complete the construction. So that will be initiated at that point. We'll work with our consultant and they will come up with the design plans, the detailed drawings, the specifics for that chosen alternative. And from there, they will develop bid documents, and they will also assist us with putting that project out to bid. It'll obviously come to the council. As you can see, that little orange box in the middle, award construction contract council. So that'll come to you for approval prior to going out to advertisement. the contractor when we actually go out for actual construction of the project. So that's pretty much the phase. Then once that's done, we'll move forward with the construction. And then in the very end, we get to do the best part, which is cutting the ribbon and celebrating completion of a long process.
3 years from now, right?
I don't think so. Right now, the schedule is, I think we're looking at about 2 years from now for completion, plus or minus. We'll see. Part of what the consultants will give us when we do the RSOQ is they will give us a schedule of what, and that's part of the selection criteria, as Jerry knows. That'll be, they'll give us a schedule of how they're going to complete things, their approach on how they're going to deliver this project to us, and that could be one of the deciding factors for their selection. So yeah, we're hoping to get it done soon. The money's there. We're ready to get started on it. We looked at other alternatives of delivery, and we still feel this is going to give us the best price for this type of project. So what we're asking for is approval to go ahead and advertise the request. So I'll turn it back to Jerry, and he can cover it from there.
Thanks, Rick.
Are we trying to earn interest on that 2.8 million while we're waiting 3 years?
No, we haven't invested.
So,
Okay.
so a couple of things. Rick did a great job on this, by the way. But a couple of things. we put some extra incentive in it for, in this weighing process for some sort of innovative approach to the project. We wanted to make sure that the firm didn't want to build a take out of the box bridge out there. We wanted something that would that we can be proud of and that we can work into the community. So that's one of the things. The scoping phase involves a lot of community involvement. We have a lot of stakeholder meetings. We have we're in that phase. The community is very involved, and so is the council. When we get into the design phase, it'll be mostly staff, and we'll be bringing things back to council for approval. So, so right now we're looking to go out to bid. The next step would be after the selection panel selects the consultant that they would like to hire. We have the city manager would negotiate that contract. And then we would bring that contract back to council for approval. So we would not hire anybody for this unless council approved of it. So that's kind of where we're at on this. From staff, and one from the county, one from the railroad, and one from private industry. So, and I've contacted those three, and they all are all agreeable. So we wanted to make sure that that we got some community input on the selection process as well. So and then also our biggest stakeholder is the railroad, so we wanted to make sure we represented there as well.
And they're pretty acceptable to the whole idea?
Yeah, Rick and I met with ADOT Railroad also, and there's some funding there that we're going to try to capture as well. So. That's what you hire me for.
So, get it.
So yeah, we're going to go after some of that as well, but we think that's limited. So, but our participation within switching that crossing out is probably going to go into some of this budget. So we believe that that the scoping and design phase will take as much as a year. So you notice that Rick is a design engineer, and all these huge boxes, and then I'm a construction engineer. I get 4 little squares over there. So that's kind of the way he weighed it.
Well done.
I know. So, but,
Freddie, you have a go.
but in saying that, you guys got one where you cut the ribbon.
Yeah. Freddie, you got a question?
So I have a couple of questions, and this is more on the budgetary end of this project. So, we were very fortunate to receive some funding from the state. First question, does the design and scope phase, is that funded through this,
Yes.
the funding that we received from the state?
$2.81 million, yes.
Okay, so my follow-up then, not knowing what the design's going to be, is the design going to be tailored around keeping it within that 2.8? Or are we going to be 2 years from now or a year and a half from now when we receive those bids saying, all right, we're not quite there, we need a little more?
So part of the scoping portion of that, as you see, is cost estimates. So as long as we can stay within our budget, we actually think that we're going to be pushing this 2.81 on this bridge. But Rick and I both believe that we can bring it in, even the design and construction. And remember, we're charging staff time to this too. Sure. So Rick is a consultant that works for the city. So we're charging his time off to this funding source as well. But we think that 2 years from now that we'll still be under budget.
So what happens to the extra money then, asphalt?
So it would not. The state appropriated for the bridge, but there is maintenance programs and so forth. If there was money left over, that we would probably establish for these bridges.
A follow-up, if I may? Ready. So a follow-up, and this I might be kind of reaching out a little bit, but at what point in this process will we know, with pretty certain accuracy, where we're going to land?
So at the point where we have a designer on board, a consulting firm on board, and we do a lot of the public input, they will flat out tell you, these are all great ideas, but it's going to cost you more than what you've got. And they will come back and they say, well, we can incorporate this and this and this. And, but we will, within the scoping phase, before we go to a design and before that happens, when we present the feasibility, we will know approximately what it's going to cost. And remember, there's money for demo and so forth in there too. So I think that the 10% or less is probably what will fall out on the design portion of this.
Also, Jerry, you might want to mention that some of the money may be needed for construction administration.
Yes. So we
Construction in addition to
Project management. So it's the all-in cost, right? I mean,
yeah. But I mean, we still have to. Here's the wild cards right away. Environmental issues. If we run into anything like that, then we really got to worry about what we're designing and what we're building. The biggest challenge that we have out there is we have another structure that's right on top of this one. That's coming in from is that McCormick's Creek? Is that the one there by Stratton's?
Yeah.
And so anyway, it's coming right there, and we have a railroad trust that comes through there too. So and that's why Rick and I think it's important to hire the right consultant, because if we have to move that bridge a little bit, we got that to play with. The other thing that we did is we applied and was put we were put on the tip for the next project, which is Hill Street Phase 2, which incidentally ties right into this, but it's 5 years down the road. So we could make some pavement changes there as well, and then tie it in with the next project. So we were granted money on that as well.
So, Mr. Mayor,
it takes a lot of planning. So,
And I think,
It's going to come off Carico then.
yes,
yes.
right at the intersection by Stratton's will be straight across there.
Mr. Mayor, Council, Jerry, and this will be a signaled intersection when we're done, right? Or are we not sure on that?
We're not 100% sure, but we believe it will be a signalized with railroad crossing intersection.
train actuated gates.
Yeah.
Well,
So.
you make a lot of people happy.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing, if you look at the position on the stuff that we sent you, our current plan position will make things more accessible for the traffic turning right into the construction companies, and also the traffic turning left, which would be into the college and the Forest Service and all that. So it's a win-win. And the biggest part of this was relocating the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
So, and
There's money to demolate the old bridge?
so John has assured me that if there's not enough money, he will take it down himself. Right?
That'll be the easy part.
So, and John, he never goes back on his word.
And Jerry, I can see Councilman Rios is concerned, because once we start this project, we're at a point of no return. So if we over budget, we're going to have to look at that in the future. But I think with your estimation that you made, you took in inflation and other costs too.
We took
and,
in a lot.
Yeah, that's
Well,
like engineers do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Jerry knows how to highball some.
So there are cheaper versions. I don't think we're going to fall out there. But we can build this for less than the 2.81. It would just not be a structure that I would want to maintain. So we are going to build something that's feasible for the city to maintain, doesn't obstruct the waterway there, and is within budget. We're going to build within budget. I'm close to retirement, but not that close. So
That
I'll
was my
build it
next
within
question.
budget.
Are you going to be here?
Pack that bottle of champagne on that.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, Jerry, and council will be involved in kind of what they'd like to see out of this. And
We will have numerous public stakeholder meetings that the council will be invited to. And we will present, every decision will be a council decision, not staff. So
final look at this thing.
You know, and if we get up where cost estimates are $3 million and council wants to pony up the rest of the money, that's your decision, not mine.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, that won't happen.
But I'm saying it's their decision, not mine.
Okay.
I'm going to present you with all options.
We're going to keep this on budget. And the only, I think, like, as Jerry said, unless there's a big surprise with the railroad trust or environmental or something that's totally unforeseen, I think we should be okay on budget.
I think so too.
Yeah. And Mr. Mayor, members of council, real quick, to address one concern that Councilman Pastor had, railroads are only get really upset when you add a crossing. Relocating a crossing is not so stressful. They just don't want to see additional. But one of the key things is us standing by the idea that the old crossing will go away, the old bridge will go away. I know that there's been hubba about, you know, could we use that as pedestrian or anything like that. The old bridge is a impediment to the flow of the water. Closing the old crossing is a key factor in buying the support of the railroads to build a new one. The fewer crossings they have, the happier they are. And then the other thing is we've already given an update to the state Senate staff. They're very curious as to how we're doing and how we're going with this, and so they're tracking this because this is kind of a unique thing for them. And so I'm going to take this package and send it to them and give them updates. And I've also offered that when the new session comes up, if there's any other additional questions, comments, or need us to testify on bridge funding in general or this, that this council and staff would be willing to go down and share our progress and share our thoughts.
But another huge savings that we're going to have on this too is we're going to be able to maintain traffic over the old bridge because of the location of where it's going to be. We're not going to have to build a temporary runaround. We're not going to have to put a temporary bridge in. We've already have that. So that's a huge savings for us right there, don't you think?
Just right. And I wanted to address Councilman Pastor's question about traffic, and it is a concern. And one of the requirements we have, you can see one of the bubbles up there in the scoping phase, is we're going to have them do a complete traffic analysis. So they'll look, you know, do we need a left-hand turn lane? Do we need a right-hand turn lane? Yeah. How wide does the bridge need to be? And we are going to have a sidewalk, multi-use path on there and a sidewalk that connects in as well.
But
So
it'll
we do
come
wanna
down
address
to,
those.
can we afford to put a walking path on both sides? Or, you know, it'll come down to things
Putting
like
one
that.
on one side. Yeah.
So, you
No,
know, because the more you add,
Right.
the more cost you add, so.
Having a little bit of experience in bridge construction, if you get the right engineer and the right construction company, they're pretty good at what they do if you get the right people.
Well, being the scab laborer that I am, isn't that what they call me?
Yeah.
Yes,
good.
between Rick and I, we've probably done a couple hundred of these, so.
We can pull up the video.
There's no other questions or comments. I move that we move forward with advertisement for a request for statements of qualifications, RSOQ 2019-0055 for roadway and bridge design and the replacement of Upper Pinal Creek Bridge number 8603 to be initially funded out of account number 2180-52201 CIP Pinal Creek Bridge.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for approval. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Motion passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick, for your
Huge
time.
milestone. Huge milestone.
We have any late agenda items?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, the only late agenda item was the addition of the Tonto Basin update, but nothing that's an action item that's on the late agenda item.
Call to the public?
We have no
other ones?
Cards, and I see no one racing towards the front.
Scheduling of meetings?
No additional scheduling other than the scheduling that's on the agenda, which is the December 17th. Is it 17th?
17th, yeah.
The December 17th meeting and the January 15th meeting, which is on a Wednesday.
Yep. Okay. Future agenda items, anybody have any, council?
You were gonna get with that lady that.
Yeah, no, I'm not totally determined that that's going to be on the agenda, but I will get with the people on the dog rescue. Yeah, I'll get with them and figure out if that's how to best handle that. But definitely communicate with council, and then if we need to, we'll put it on the agenda.
Okay.
Do we have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion passed. Thank you for coming to our meeting.